Welcome to Geeks and Grounds, a monthly game club and bi-weekly podcast where we play games and brew thoughtful conversation together. I am your host, Jenny Wyndham, and in case you're new or you need a refresher, we focus on one game a month, really percolate over it, really savor it, so we can deep dive into its themes and mechanics and make those connections between what we're playing and our lives. This is special because this is our first 2-month game, and I am so happy because joining us in the cafe for the last 2 months, we have had founder and host of Tales from the Backlog, and perhaps, maybe just a dream, we have Dave Jackson with us. How are you doing, Dave?
Jenny, it is frigid where I live. It is single-digit temperatures, so I'm
Oh my
glad to warm
goodness.
up with a good discussion, a nice cup of tea.
Oh, that's
This is what we need
perfect.
on a night like tonight.
Have you gotten snow then, or is it just
Yes,
cold?
we got
Oh,
a lot of snow, and it's way too cold to melt.
that sounds so lovely. We have had torrential downpours. I see even on my monitor, like the little weather widget, it's telling us we still have a flood warning because Oregon, Washington, I think
Yeah.
maybe parts of Idaho, I'm not sure. We've got a lot of flooding happening currently, so I would much rather trade it for the snow and cold that you're getting right now.
Yeah, I love the snow as long as I'm inside.
Yes. Oh my goodness. And so this month and last month, we've been playing and working our way through Final Fantasy X, a story, a tale of a world trapped in a cycle of destruction, and the group of found family that have joined together to try and stop it through a pilgrimage. Today is our finale discussion for the game, but if you have not started yet, it is possible. If you're listening to this on the day the episode drops, you could cram in a marathon gaming session or two and join us by just Saturday, December 20th for our community hangout and conversation. So you can listen to this episode, gather your thoughts. Maybe if you have played it a long time ago, you could use this as a refresher and join us. And you can find out all the details at geeksandgrounds.com for the Discord, as well as the community hangout and anything else you'd like to know about the club. But before we hop in today's discussion, we've got the pastry case. It's our little grab bag of topic of industry news, as well as what else we've been up to. And because we do have a hard stopping time because of my schedule, we're going to keep it brief to 2 things. Just the Geeks and Grounds community selections, which I've been so eager to share with you all, as well as what we're excited about. So without further ado, and in no particular order, after I think 2 weeks of voting from the community, we have 6 titles that have been selected by all of you to be part of the menu of brews for next year. And just for fun, if did you want to trade off every title, Dave? I can kick it off with the
Oh,
first
yeah.
one and then you
Yeah,
do the
let's do it.
second. And we trade. Okay. So we've got Look Outside,
We have Outer Wilds,
Kentucky Route Zero,
Unbeatable,
Yakuza Like a Dragon.
and The Root Trees Are Dead.
Yay!
Yeah, that is an inspired group of games.
This is outstanding. I am very excited for next year because I actually haven't played all of these games. I've played Look Outside, but I have not finished it.
Mhm.
I've started Kentucky Route Zero, but I have not finished it. I started Root Trees Are Dead, but I have not finished it. And The Outer Wilds is one of my all-time favorite games, but I've only played it the one time, and it's been so long, I have the benefit of not really remembering all the finer details, which is exactly what you want if you've played that game before and you want to
Mhm.
hop in again. Um, yeah, any additional thoughts on that, Dave?
Well, out of those, I've played Outer Wilds twice, and I just played the DLC for the first time. It's also extremely good. So if you haven't played the DLC, it's awesome. I've
Mm-hmm.
played Kentucky Route Zero a couple of times, and I
Oh,
really
wow.
like that. That's so rich for discussion. Like that's one of the it's like an art piece where your interpretation, your feeling is
Mm-hmm.
everything. Really, I mean, there's obvious things, there are obvious themes, and there's a lot of stuff that it's about how it makes you feel, the way some of the best art is. So
Yeah.
that's a good pick. And then the Yakuza series is one of my favorites of all time. Yakuza Like a Dragon in particular had a real big task, I think, as a kind of series reboot in more ways than one. And I think
Mm.
that game especially knocked it out of the park. It's a really good game.
I'm so excited because I played a bit of Yakuza 0 and I loved what I played, but I just, with so many games, I fell off of it, especially
Hmm.
since it's a longer title. And I know Like a Dragon is also a pretty hefty one. So that'll likely be another 2 month sort of plan out
Yeah.
deal. But yeah, I'm really excited. So thank you to everyone who voted, who nominated games. I'm still finalizing the full year's schedule, but just to give a bit of context with the newsletter this week, I will reveal the first 2 quarters. So, like January through June, the first half of the year. So, be sure to subscribe to the newsletter at geeksandgrounds.com to see that and you can prepare. But at the very least, the titles that are community selected are confirmed, and the Steam Winter Sale starts on the 16th. So by the time this podcast is released. So hopefully, if you're looking to save a few dollars, get things on a good deal, this is the perfect time to pick things up if you're hoping to hop in and play with us next year. So I did want to reveal for sure the first game of next year. We're going to start with a game that I have been very excited to play and discuss with more people and amplify a little bit, and that is Gas Station Story. This is a game that released this year. I think I was put onto it via Game Devs of Color Expo. And this is a game on Steam that released in June of this year, 2025. And it's a slice of life adventure narrative game about a mysterious virus and its effects on the city you live in. And you play a gas station worker. Small Game Boy Color inspired palette and mechanics. And they even use the Game Boy camera to do some of the profile pictures for the characters.
Mm.
And yeah, I have not finished it, I will admit, but I played probably the first 2 hours or so, and I felt like this would be a great way to kick off the year. So more details on that to come, but that also helps you get ready for January because we'll be on a break for a little bit after this episode. And with that, what have you been excited about lately, Dave? What have you been up to?
I've been up to a lot of stuff per usual. You know me. I always got a lot going on.
Yeah.
So a couple things game wise. I finished up all of my immediate obligations, such as Final Fantasy X. So I have been relaxing. And again, we got a lot of snow, like 6 inches of snow. It's super cold outside. So I have been staying in and playing Dragon Quest as that type of game really just screams winter vacation to me, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Get some tea, a blanket, and a big RPG. So I've been playing Dragon Quest 11, a game I've been playing off and on for several months now, and I'm just kind of focusing more on it now. Have you played that? Have you played any of the Dragon Quests?
I have, oh my gosh, when I was maybe in middle school, I know I played a Dragon Quest, but I have been told Dragon Quest 11 is a great, like, if I wanted to get back in or sort of just try them out, like, this is a good installment to go for it on.
Yeah, I'm pretty new to the series as well. I played 5 earlier this year, absolutely loved it, and so that pushed me to play 11, and I'm loving that too. I also started a new game. Will be on my podcast in 4 or 5 months. Called Ghost Trick,
Nice.
something detective. I forget the subtitle.
Hmm.
DS game from Capcom from 2010 or something like that. If you've Have you played
Yeah.
that one?
I did a long time ago. I was gonna say, like, I was wondering if a remake or something had come out, but you're just going back into
Yeah.
the archives with this
Well,
one.
there was in 2023 they put out a PC and console version
Okay.
of it.
Yeah.
Phantom Detective, that's the subtitle. But I'm playing it on the DS because I have it there,
Oh,
and
nice.
I like an excuse to pull my 3DS out and play it every
Hmm.
now and then. So been playing that. Um, I talked on previous episodes about the book I was reading from the Malazan Book of the Fallen series,
Hmm.
Gardens of the Moon, the first book. I finished that. Really loved the ending. Great downhill momentum toward the end of the
Oh,
book.
heck yeah.
Loved it. Um, and I decided to take a break between books 1 and 2 because you're not picking right up after, book 1 in book 2.
Okay.
So I decided to read something light and fluffy, and that turned out to be The Road. I read
Famously light and fluffy. Oh my
exactly, yeah,
goodness.
yeah. I read all of that in between our previous recording and now. Really, really loved it. Obviously, very bleak. It's something about that also screams read it in the winter when it's gray
Hmm.
outside. But it's been on my shelf for years and years, and I'm glad I finally got to that. I
Yeah.
hadn't seen the movie before. I just knew it was bleak, and it was, but it was very good too.
Yeah. Oh man, I should pull that out for a reread. I remember really enjoying reading The Road way back when, and it I think I discovered it when The Walking Dead was really in the zeitgeist. Like there were a lot of
Mm.
zombie apocalyptic type movies and TV shows happening, and I remember reading it in that sort of phase of my life. And I'd love to reread it again, I think with a bit more context. And I think it was in high school or early college when that happened. And so it'd be nice to get more perspective on it, kind of like with Final Fantasy X, honestly.
Yeah, I do think that getting older will give you a little bit more perspective.
Hmm.
I know that I'm sure that people who have kids would have more perspective on that
Yeah.
now than you might have when you were 20 or when you didn't have kids, whenever that was. But yeah, that was a really good book. But I'm back into Malazan book 2 now for a little bit. Malazan's also
Nice.
really dark and bleak. It's not a happy, nobody's happy in those books, but it's not the road bleak. So
Yeah.
we're back into fantasy book fun, the fun zone. Um, and then the last thing for me is with music. I finally canceled Spotify
Yay.
because I, no, there. I don't want my money going to war drone profiteering and ICE recruitment. So
Hmm.
I canceled it. I signed up for a really unfortunate thing is that I don't know how to pronounce the service that I signed up for. Bad name if I can't pronounce the name of your app, but it's spelled
Right.
Qobuz,
Okay.
Quobuz.
Yeah.
Uh, I was reading a bunch of, some people have done some really great blogs about Spotify alternatives and
Yeah.
um, the benefits and drawbacks, Apple Music, YouTube Music, Quobuz, and Tidal, and all of these other services. I went
Hmm.
with Quobuz because apparently I wanted to make my life difficult when talking about it. Um, but it's a similar price. I migrated all my playlists and stuff over. It was super easy.
Hmm.
If you sign up on Quobuz, you can do the migration for free. So only thing
Nice.
that I've found that's missing is some video game music, which I kind of expected, but Spotify was never the go-to place for video game music anyway. So,
Yeah.
um, I have been listening that was just a few days ago, and I've been listening to a lot of Trig and Gusset, who did the Blueprints soundtrack, and
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
they I didn't know anything about them, but now I can see from their kind of, their non-video game music why they were picked to do the soundtrack to Blueprints. And it's
Hmm.
really, really good music.
That's cool. Yeah, I didn't know that they were super prolific outside of Blueprints. I knew they had some other music, but I'll have a listen. Do they, I guess, do they have a ton of CDs or, I guess albums, or is it just sort of like a couple here and there?
Yeah, so from what I could tell, they do have albums. I think the most recent one might have been 2021, but they put out a bunch of different singles throughout 2025.
Cool.
And there may be another album. I might not have been looking in chronological order, but it does look like they're pretty prolific. And maybe that gap is because they were making the Blueprint soundtrack, which I'm sure
Right.
took quite a long time. There's a lot of music in that game.
Yeah,
So,
that makes
yeah,
sense.
it's really good. It's like a bit more up tempo. It's not like fast, but more up tempo than Blueprints. It's not
Hmm.
quite as brooding, but it's really beautiful music. So I know you like the Blueprints soundtrack. So
Oh
hearty
yeah.
recommendation for their other stuff.
That's awesome. I'll definitely be listening. I'll put that on my playlist because I've been doing so much cross stitching, and
Hmm.
I've caught up pretty decently on most of my shows at this point. And so now I'm trying to get in the habit of, if I'm cross stitching, not having the TV playing, but instead putting on an album, because I think that's just like probably a little better for the brain.
Yeah.
Switch it up,
Yeah.
not have the TV on all the time.
Hmm.
So I'll put that on my list.
Yeah. I've been doing a lot of writing for my end of year preparations for my podcast and stuff. And it's
Hmm.
been great writing music, great. work music as well as the end
Nice.
of the year rush has come. So yeah.
Perfect. Well, that segues perfectly into sort of what I've been up to. I've also been doing a lot of not computer work necessarily, but just working on my cross stitch projects, just trying to finish things up that I've been poking at all year, like
Poking.
literally poking at, I guess, where I just need to be done so I can do something different. The
Hmm.
biggest one was my Undertale project, not because it was difficult, but because there were just too many same color blocks. And for me, it just gets really exhausting when I'm doing the same color and it just sort of like there's a flow state, but then it starts to like kind of bore my brain and I don't want to do it very much after a bit.
Hmm.
And so I finally finished my Undertale piece. Thank goodness. And I just need to frame it. And I did have a couple people message and email and ask if I could post a picture of it either in the newsletter or on social. So I'll be sure once I get a frame to post it and share it
Hmm.
with you all. Um, and then I started a Howl's Moving Castle kind of inspired landscape piece, which is nice because
Nice.
what I appreciate about that is it's for folks who are familiar with Howl's Moving Castle or Ghibli, you'll feel like, oh, this feels like a Ghibli landscape. But I think for anyone else, they're just going to think it's kind of a nice landscape that you did a
Hmm.
cross stitch of. So I like that it's not such an overt, not a obvious nod to like a show or a movie or anything, but it has that nice little emotional attachment still that comes with doing like a fan cross stitch.
Yeah.
Um,
I've got a couple tattoos like that like if you know
yeah.
what it's from, you're like,
Hmm.
oh, it's the Dark Tower, and if you don't, you're like, that's a cool looking tower. It's kind of cool.
Exactly.
Like
Yeah.
I don't think Undertale fits in that category.
No, it's very obviously Undertale. It's very obviously video game.
Yeah.
But that's just Undertale is just next level for me. So I'm like,
Hmm.
I have to do an
Yeah,
Undertale
that's
piece.
super cool though.
Yeah, and I have been catching up on Pluribus while cross stitching this past week, and I think a couple weeks ago I mentioned like I like it, but the first episode was kind of, and so I was waiting to see how the show really started to work itself out. I can I can fully recommend this show. No big surprise. Again, it's by the guy who made Breaking Bad and then Better Call Saul. Um, it stars, I am blanking on her name. It's like Rhea something, but she played Kim Wexler in Better Call Saul.
Mm.
She's outstanding. She's really sort of relatable on some levels, but in the way that I think like sometimes unlikably relatable. And I think that makes her a really interesting character to center in a lot of the first half of the show. And we get introduced to other characters later, which I am very excited about because it's adding a bit more of that dynamic that I was starting to miss. So they just timed that perfectly. For folks who don't know, it's a show about the world kind of coming to sort of an end because something has invaded and essentially created a hive mind of every living person on the planet except for a select few who have for some reason not been impacted. We don't know why, but this is the story, at least at the start, focusing on one woman's experience dealing with being one of the last sort of individual people on the earth that's not part of the hive mind. And really just it's been fun to watch. We're on episode 7 now. I would recommend it if you have Apple TV. That's the platform it's on. If not, ask a friend for their login.
Hmm.
Because that's the way to do it. So yeah, highly recommend it. I love the way that the shots are just like really beautifully composed. I love the way that they use color in this. I think it's quite interesting. And I'm just excited to see what happens next.
Yeah, sounds good. I,
Yeah.
I don't watch a whole lot of stuff, but when if I do, that's something I'm super interested in.
Yeah, definitely worth the time if you like wanted to carve out some TV time, I would say.
Hmm.
And then I've been playing Bits and Bops, which just shadow dropped on December 9th during the Wholesome Snack, which I was like super excited and proud about. But um, either way, it's such a delightful rhythm game. I just like to pop in, bop in, and do a couple of levels and just play and just enjoy just sort of rhythm heaven, like where you have these
Hmm.
sort of mini game songs that you play and sort of match actions and reactions to. And they have co-op levels that you can play as a single player as well, which they would definitely be more fun with other people. But even as a single player, their co-op levels are just really fun to like hop into and just experience the animations and how they evolve and the silliness. So if you're looking for something just lighthearted and silly, maybe bring it out for the family to play and laugh at and, see who has rhythm and who doesn't.
Hmm.
This would be a really good one.
Yeah, Rhythm Heaven is one of my activation phrases, so
Yeah.
I'm glad I'm glad anytime I see a game that is so inspired by it, like this and Melatonin a couple years
Oh,
ago,
yes. Yeah.
instantly on my radar just from being like Rhythm Heaven. These are cool games. We need more of them.
Yeah, we do. I think, rhythm games aren't the most popular genre. They're very niche, but I think they hold a really special place in my heart. So I'm always happy to see another one pop up and release, and I am here to support it. And shout out to Unbeatable, which was a community
Yeah.
selection for next year. That's another rhythm game. So yeah, very, very stoked that we're going to be getting some of that next year as well.
Yeah, we're in like a nice little like resurgence of rhythm games, but like rhythm
Hmm.
games in different genres. Like
Yeah.
I'm not super positive about what Unbeatable is, but I know it's not just like a pure rhythm game. Like there's a
Hmm.
story and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then you've got all these rhythm RPGs like Fretless and games like that. And
Yeah.
then yeah,
Everhood comes to mind
yeah.
as well.
Hmm.
Yeah. It's
So
a good
it's super
time.
cool. Again, we always say this like Nintendo's not making Rhythm Heaven. It's up to the indies to make another one.
It's true.
Same with so many types of games.
Yeah, I know. I'm like Nintendo. But you know what? I actually, as much as I would love another Rhythm Heaven, I think it's just, yeah, it's exciting to see indies taking up the mantle and putting their own spins on things. And
Yeah.
um, yeah, but yeah, if we got another Rhythm Heaven, ooh, uh, that would be outstanding.
Hmm.
So, that is it for our speedy pastry case. Again, if you want links to everything, especially links to the community selections, the first game of the year, and sort of the first half of the year that's tentatively planned, asterisks, who knows what will get dropped, so I'll maybe move stuff around. Be sure to subscribe at geeksandgrounds.com or hop into the Discord because I'll be posting all of this and pinning it in there once everything is live with the podcast. And now, that leads us to this month's brew, the game we've been playing for 2 months, technically, really savoring it. This episode is a full spoiler episode. We have finished the game. Anything is fair game, really, at any point. We'll be going still chronologically through the journey just to give us some semblance of coherency and timeline. But really, anything at this point is fair game when we discuss. And we
Hmm.
ended last week having huge revelations on the nature of Seymour, what's going on, as well as a proposal from Seymour to Yuna to get married. And we were heading into the Thunder Plains, and really everything is starting to ramp up.
Hmm. uh including the danger to the party. The thunder plains is weird because it's the only like environmental danger area that you really are in,
Hmm.
even the ones where you're underwater or whatever.
Yeah.
And this is the area, this is the most one of the most infamous things about this game, for the people who like to 100%
Yep.
games, is getting, I think it's Lulu's ultimate weapon by dodging 200 thunderbolts in a row, which is
Hmm.
that's one of those. Sometimes I see a requirement like this and I think like the game designers, they're telling you not to do this unless you really want it. They're
Right.
telling you to kill that part of you that says you have to get everything and 100% everything. Because I took one look at that and I was like, absolutely not. I will never
Nope.
attempt that.
You know what's absolutely wild is when I was in high school playing this, I said, challenge accepted. And I went through and did that, and it was
Nice.
agonizing. And I will never do it again. Um, at this point, I'm just speeding right through, and I say goodbye
Yep.
to the
And
Thunder
on
Plains
to
as
Makalania.
yeah, as quickly as I can because it's not worth it.
Yep,
It did
it's not
nothing
worth
for
it.
me it did nothing for me when I achieved it back then. And so, but kudos to anyone who aims for that. And I hope you get more out of it than I did.
Yeah.
So yeah, Makalania, uh, beautiful area. I will say it's
Hmm.
one of the most striking for me, at least. I just is for many reasons. I think because we come back to Makalania twice, narratively, which I think is also relatively rare. It's one of the places that just stands out in my mind, at least.
Hmm.
And this first stint through, uh, you're weaving through sort of these branches of trees that are basically paths. It's absolutely beautiful. And for me, one of the biggest beats that comes out of this is finally defeating a boss called the Spheromorph and having the opportunity to see and collect spheres that Jet has created throughout
Yeah.
his journey in Spira.
Hmm.
Um, it's our first opportunity to hear him outside of Titus's dreams and
Yeah,
his
outside of him
memories.
telling Titus not to cry, it's the first
Yeah,
time he says anything else, basically.
right. And it's wild because the sphere that you get after this boss battle, he's actually quite vulnerable. Like it's a bit shocking just based on what we've seen so far because at one point, at the end he's like, I don't know, I'm not really good at this. And as he's walking off the camera and picking up the sphere, he tells Titus, I believe in you. Be good. Goodbye. And I'm just
Hmm.
like, this is not the same man. Um he has changed on his journey. And we're seeing Titus go through a bit of that transformation as well, after sort of everything he's been through with the party and realizing what it means to be here in Spira.
Yeah. A lot of the second half of the game is like one of the subplots is learning more about Jecht and
Hmm.
giving his character more shape than just asshole dad. And both of those are true. Like he was not a good dad to Titus, but he also had other parts to him, as everybody
Hmm.
does. And I got the feeling playing this. There's another one later where he's kind of drunk and he's like, having some fun with Braska and Aaron. And I got the feeling that like if we played, let's say they made Final Fantasy X a prequel,
Hmm.
and you played as Braska, Aaron, and Jecht, you would
Oh
like
man.
Jecht. He would
Yeah.
be a lovable. He would probably his flaws would come out probably, but he'd be a
Hmm.
lovable party member. I feel like.
Yeah. Absolutely. I would play that game. So if anyone from
Yeah,
Square Enix who has
please.
power listening,
Square
make it
Enix, you don't
happen.
have to pay me for this idea. Just make the
Yeah.
game.
um but yeah, I agree. And I think it's interesting because we get not quite a reverse, but we see some of that, like where Waka, we see that big brother, silly goofball. And then we illuminate other sides of him that are a bit more flawed. And with Jet, we have a bit of the reverse. And
Hmm.
that just is, for me, a testament to how well developed some of these characters really are and how it's really narratively interesting to go in and see these evolutions or these different facets of characters in this game. And I love it a lot. Because
Hmm.
yeah, Jet would be just a lovable asshole at the by the end of his journey, at least.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that part of Titus's journey in the game is coming to terms with like we talked about in the previous episodes about how Jecht is a different person to everyone in Spira, especially to Yuna. You
Hmm.
know, uh he's someone that people look up to. He's a hero.
Yeah.
And he had that like that clash of what he knows versus what they know, but we're filling in that gap a little bit more throughout the second half of the game.
Yeah. And also, I always wonder about where like people's environments and how they help facilitate them to be a better or worse version of themselves. And I wonder like what about maybe being a superstar blitzball player in Zanarkand maybe facilitated Jet being even more of a jerk.
Yeah.
Um, didn't allow him to like rise up to any sort of challenge versus him going into Spira and then having this pilgrimage that really had gave him this opportunity to change. Kind of like Titus, honestly, where we meet him and he's sort of this really naive guy, very impulsive, very emotional, not a bad person, but just hasn't been given the opportunity to like face any sort of significant challenge.
Hmm. Yeah, well said.
Um, we arrived to Makalania Temple, which we know there's another great cloister of trials in there. But before we hop into the actual, which I will say Makalania and then later in Bavel, those are just the worst trials for
They get
me.
worse as they go on.
They do. It's just
Just
progressively.
straight
It's
up.
so
Yeah.
bad. So for anyone wondering, we are just intentionally not talking about them because we clarified in the first discussion half they serve a purpose and that is all we care about for
Yes.
them, really.
Uh-huh.
um, but what I found interesting is word has spread so fast. I don't know what they use to transport information,
Mm.
but even Oaka was talking about the wedding planning, and talking about how, oh, it's just like Lady Unaleska and her Lord Zeon. And I'm like, this just happened. People are sending spheres or doing whatever they need to, but like this is doing what Seymour and to some extent was hoping, is it's
Hmm.
getting people excited, it's getting them hopeful, but we also know like this is not good, this can't happen because we
Yeah.
know so many secrets about Yevon at this point.
We know so many secrets about Yevon, and we know secrets about Seymour.
Mm-hmm.
And then, like, directly after that, we confront the big secret about Seymour, which is that he's the reason he killed his father.
Yeah.
And the it's I forget his line, but when you confront him with that, he has some line where he's like, "Oh, you're just now finding out about this." Like he has like a very cocky Seymour line
Mm-hmm.
about it, a Seymourism. um and yeah, our first of many boss fights against Seymour on the path.
Gosh, this guy just keeps coming back, which again,
Yeah.
it makes sense. But still, I'm impressed at his ability to stay one step ahead of us through this whole second half of Final Fantasy X.
Hmm.
But yeah, we beat Seymour, and basically sort of the veil is continuously getting pulled off of the face of what's going on with the Guados and Yevon and what is it, Tremel. He has the Jiskel sphere. Everyone thinks, oh, well, maybe Tremel, he'll see what's going on with Seymour. He'll support what we're trying to do because he's, part of this institution and he wants to protect Yevon and what's going on, the religion. No, no, no.
Nope.
Tremel breaks the sphere, the Jiskel sphere, and he says, and I thought this was so illuminating, the Guado take care of Guado affairs. Um, and for me, this illuminated a lot of how this we take care of our own can be corrupted into a protection that perpetuates harm versus actually protects people who need protection from like the institutions themselves. They're doing all of this to just keep power within and make sure that they get their own, but that nobody else is helped. And they do not care actually about saving Spira, which is just, oh man, just hearing that line made me get so mad.
Yeah. Yeah, the ways that the powerful will stop at nothing to protect their own status quo, but
Hmm.
even in this case, as we'll find out later, when we get to like the trial section, like
Yeah.
the fate of the world is not enough to make them break out of this. We take care of our own type of mentality, right? And that's, I
Hmm.
mean, how much more real can you be with
Oh
that?
my God. Yeah. This is like the perfect, as unfortunate as it is, it's the perfect time to play a game that has that theme because it's just exactly what we're experiencing with all of the billionaires and the politicians right now. Um, they're very much into taking care of their own at this point, and
Yeah.
it is showing.
Hmm.
Um, we is there anything else you wanted to add to that part or this section?
Not that section in particular. We did have a nice
Hmm.
note from the Discord server about the next section when you go down in that
Yes.
like bottom of the lake area.
Yeah. Did you want to read that?
I don't have the
Or
server pulled up
paraphrase
right
it.
now,
Yeah,
but
paraphrasing
the
is fine.
general gist, and I'm sorry, I forgot who posted it. But the general gist is like you run away from the temple and you fall down to the bottom of this lake somehow. And the party has some good conversational moments down there. But the whole time you're kind of wondering like, where are we right now? And
Mm-hmm.
someone had posted that with a little bit of like camera debugging, you can like zoom out and find out that the characters are on top of Sin at this moment. And Sin,
Mm-hmm.
if you look at the model, Sin does have like a city on its back. And so that's where we
It's
are,
so
I guess.
wild.
And that's
Yeah.
how we end up in the desert right after this, too. Sin takes us there.
Yep. Yeah, it's so funny because when I didn't realize that and that camera debugging like feature is just so cool. But when I first played this, I was just like, did Sin just teleport us? Like,
Yeah.
did Sin do the thing that he did with Titus and just like suctioned us up and plopped us into the desert? So it's nice to know narratively there's actually a bit more cohesive of an explanation than me just being like Sin is just teleporting us for some reason.
Hmm.
I did want to shout out the bit of the conversation that they have. We learn a little bit more about the hymn of the faith. It's actually like diegetic. It's in world. They are hearing it. It's not just us hearing like a soundtrack, which is interesting. Because
Hmm.
I think this is the first moment they really explicitly call it out. I think they hint at it in Besaid, but um, I think Titus even makes a line like, "Oh, they sing it a lot better than my old man did," just
Yeah.
to show. But it's like the hymn of the faith is actually coming from the faith themselves. They are singing. Um, we find out later, like in their sleep, essentially, they're singing this song,
Hmm.
which I think is really, really cool. I've always just appreciated that narratively, and we'll talk a little bit later about what that could potentially mean, I think.
Hmm. Yeah.
But
It was We Go Giant in the Discord server that shared
yay,
that
giant.
tidbit. So that was
Thanks,
really
giant.
fun to learn because it helps really connect those two things together. And the fact that like they said in Discord, because the hymn of the faith is playing, sin is calm. That's something that we learn
Hmm.
later. Is that something that can like calm Sin down so it doesn't destroy everything is that
Yeah.
song. And
Yeah.
it's because Jecht liked the song. So that's how you know there's a little bit of intelligence in there, among other
Hmm.
reasons, too.
Hmm.
But I like down here when we get a little bit of Yuna talking about what's going on in her head, because she keeps things inside a lot. She opens up more and more as the story goes on, but
Hmm.
we're still keeping things close to the chest. And she talks about why she wants to marry Seymour, or why she would think about doing that.
Hmm.
But confronting Seymour, because we kind of skipped over when you go to fight Seymour. It's a big moment when Yuna joins the fight
Yeah.
because this is sacrilege to fight Seymour. He's a maester, and so she knows they're going to get excommunicated. They're going to get chased down. This is a turning point, and it's a big moment when she joins. And then there's a little
Hmm.
reflection about that thought process here. And she kind of talks about how she wishes that she'd shared her thoughts with the other people as they'd gone. Um,
Hmm.
which as we go later on, she'll do more of. So she's kind of opening up a little bit more and more as we go.
Yeah. Which is really, really nice to see, especially as she's been from such a young age. And again, she's only 17, where it's like, this is, everything that you do to become a summoner, to do the thing, and save Spira, bring back the calm. Um, Only you can do this. And so she's been taught for so long that this is her burden to bear. That seeing her open up is just such a rewarding character evolution to see her
Hmm.
doing that.
Yeah.
So we fall down into the lake. We are we know we're sacrilegious. We are traitors at this point in the eyes of Yevon and of the church. Poor Waka is having just continuous existential crisis.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and Lulu to some extent as well. And we get transported to a desert, an island, desert sort of location. Um, and we have, I think, our third or fourth wake up in the water sort of moment to start a different section of the story.
Mm-hmm. It's a good thing Titus can breathe forever underwater because
Yeah,
he's just always down there.
it's just face down.
Yep.
um,
This I love this section in the desert, and then you get to the Albed's home called Home, um, and they're being attacked. So it's like it's chaos, and you pick up all your party members as you go through the desert. You go into Home, but Yuna's missing, so you got to find
right.
Yuna. And the Albed have kidnapped her again, as well as there's some other summoners that are at their home, and this is for my money, this is the biggest reveal for me throughout the whole game of
Mm,
why are the Albed kidnapping summoners, and then what is the nature of the pilgrimage and the nature of what they know as the process to defeat sin. What's the result of that? Um, the reveal that Jecht is sin is probably the more famous one, I think. But this is the one that, like, I remember when I first played, this was the one where I was like, oh no, like that's the
mm-hmm.
big reveal. And it's that at the end of the pilgrimage, if all goes according to plan, they'll get to the final Aeon, the one that is powerful enough to defeat sin in the fight and bring on the 10 years of calm. But the way it works is that the final Aeon will merge with the summoner and it kills them effectively.
Yeah.
So if a summoner is successful, they die at the end of the quest. And they
Mm-hmm.
all know this. They all sign up for it. And Titus has this realization. There's a really good scene here where, and I think this is one of the scenes that I think is the most harmed by not being able to do natural voice lines in English.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a really good scene here where Titus learns this, that Yuna's marching to her death, basically, and
Yeah.
it does flashbacks of things that you've done before, including the laughing scene. And so you
Mm-hmm.
just in your head, you're like, this whole time, every time that they did something silly, like the laughing scene, or for me personally, every time I thought back to all those times Titus was like, after we defeat sin, we're going to come back
Mm-hmm.
here and we're going to do this. We're going to have such a good time. I can't wait to do this after we defeat sin. And
Yeah.
every time they did that, Yuna and the rest of the party kind of like was like, okay. Like
Mm-hmm.
most of the time, no one says anything when he brings those up. And I don't know if people notice that the first time you play. I don't know if I did either, but knowing this and then playing it again, seeing those scenes, you're like, Yuna just kept it to herself that she like couldn't tell him like, hey man, there's not going to be after we defeat sin. And it's
Mm-hmm.
really powerful. And despite the limitations, I think that this scene with the flashbacks and then combine some stuff that you remember too, it's really strong.
Yeah. I think I even with the constraints, because yeah, the dialogue is quite limited because
Yeah.
of the localization constraints. But yeah, between the flashbacks, I do think that the voice actor for Titus, like with what he was given,
Yeah.
delivers stuff with such emotion. Um, I got choked up watching this again. Like I was
Yeah.
like, I know the twist.
Yeah.
But with
Yeah.
everything combining, I think the heightened experience of having like the alarm is still going off in the background of
Yeah.
home. The fires are still kind of flame. Like you are in this super high pressure situation. And even amidst that, you have this horrible realization. It is overwhelming emotionally and then also sensory wise because there's like so much sound happening and like I get caught in it every time and it chokes me up every time I play.
Yeah.
I
Did
agree,
we
it's powerful.
I don't know, did we ever say for anyone who's not familiar like the voice acting constraints? Like I don't
I
know if we
think
said that
we
before.
I think we did when we talked a little bit about the localization, in
Okay.
terms of like having to make sure that since it was the first time doing VO, they were like working through a lot of the kinks and having the Japanese lines essentially have to fit the duration, the English lines fit the duration, and sometimes even some of the movements of the Japanese lines.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know
So
if there's
yeah,
anything else you wanted to add to that.
not necessarily. There's some things like some of the big pivotal lines there, like at the end of the game, you can tell
Mm-hmm.
they're like, this line would not be delivered this quickly, but they had to. They had no other choice.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I agree. It doesn't really like take away from the scene because what I'm thinking about is doing a lot of the lifting here too. Just
Yeah.
thinking about how I don't, if you had like gotten to this point and you thought, Yuna's kind of boring. Like she doesn't show a lot of enthusiasm
Mm-hmm.
for the quest. She doesn't show optimism about, what happens after they defeat it. This is why, because
Yeah.
she knows there's not going to be anything after they succeed. Best case scenario, she dies in her mind.
Mm-hmm.
If this goes according to plan, that's all for me. And so it really shows her selflessness. It shows her inner strength, her resolve, how she, like, at no point during this does she ever doubt that she's doing the right thing. And
Mm-hmm.
it really lends a lot to her character knowing this and replaying it especially.
Mm-hmm. And it's yeah, it shows how she is just so strong. I think it shows, and it's so sad because again, especially as someone who is much older than 17 now, and I see her as a 17-year-old, and I'm like, she's so young. Like she should have this opportunity to want everything for her future. She should be able to be excited about having a crush on a boy,
Yes,
like she should be
exactly. Yeah.
excited to be able to do any of that. And the fact that she is so focused on her mission, she is not allowing herself to feel anything is just so heartbreaking. It's so sad. Even amidst, knowing that this is a really selfless thing she's doing, it also makes me think about sort of, I don't know if this is too much of a stretch, but sort of the ways religion can indoctrinate people to make them think they're doing the right thing, that this is the only option when potentially, like, you could be exploring other options. You could be thinking about things in alternative ways if you just had different perspectives able
You
to come
know,
in.
yeah, because the after we learn this, Titus and Riku have this ongoing thing where they're like, let's think of some other way to do this. And that's why the Albed
Right,
are kidnapping the summoners, because they're trying to stop them from this. They think it's too much to
right.
sacrifice yourself. They think it's unnecessary. And they think that their Machina weapons can do the job. I don't know. But Titus
Hmm.
and Riku, the two that are out of this religion, the most, like, I don't think Aaron gives a shit about Yevon,
No.
but Aaron's been through the process before. He knows that it works, at least. Like, he was there,
Hmm.
he fought Sin before. um so Titus and Riku are the ones who are like, maybe there is another way, we can find another way. And it gets pretty desperate as they go on, where
Right.
Riku's like, did you think of something yet? And Titus is like, no. And like, you can see the finish line like right in front of you. um
Hmm.
but yeah, I think there is something to that Waka and Lulu, Kamari, um and Yuna don't really ever consider that they should be exploring other possibilities.
Right. And that could, I guess that could be said also of, I'm using religion because this is the this is the instance and the thing that has convinced them of the one path that they have to
Yeah,
take.
right.
But I think with any kind of like knowledge base, if you are only seeing one path to take, and that path is does not lead to like the outcome you actually want, if you're just constantly saying, well, this is the way we've always done it, this is the only way we can do it, I feel like there's something uh so faulty if you're not even willing to like explore or question what other possibilities there could be.
Yep.
Because who knows, for all we know, maybe that is the only way to stop Sin. Maybe there is no way to actually defeat Sin longer than 10 years, but it seems like no one's ever asked that question.
Yeah, And maybe it just takes an outsider, like a complete outsider, to ask the question that no one else has thought to ask.
Hmm. Yeah, the home section, which is really interesting because I think as a player that when I was younger, there was so much happening. I felt like it was maybe a bit too over, like there's so much it overwhelmed me. But now playing it, I feel like it's maybe one of my favorite sections narratively of the game. Um, I appreciate also that this is our first time meeting the Albed outside of the very, I guess, with Titus at the very beginning of the game, but meeting the Albed, knowing who they are, where they kind of fit in society in terms of
Hmm.
Yevon's perception of them, and how knowing what we know now, the Albed are not, quote, heathens or any derogatory term that Waka would use for them.
Hmm.
They are people of Spira who are just, almost like the Crusaders. They're just looking for another way to solve this problem.
Hmm.
They, like all the other people of Spira, don't want sin. They just also don't believe that Yevon is has the answers that
Yeah.
everyone else thinks Yevon does.
Hmm. Agreed. It's good to see them. And then, like, you meet the Albed when you get the airship. You meet Sid, you meet Brother, you meet the other people on the ship, and of course, they're just regular people trying to do their best, and they're trying to find Yuna. That's like their main thing, because Yuna gets kidnapped by it's the Guado that are attacking
Hmm.
home, and that's why all the sirens are going off, because the Guado are attacking, and Yuna disappears, and they're all like, no, we got to find Yuna. Sid is her uncle, I think,
Hmm. Yep.
and Brother is part of the family in some way, like a
I
cousin or
think
something.
brother is the cousin and is Riku's brother, and Sid is Riku's dad.
Yeah, I Brother is one of the in Final Fantasy X 2. Brother is one of the worst characters in
Oh
video game
man.
history.
Yeah.
So he's not as bad in Final Fantasy X, but he's awful in 10 too. So a little
Yes.
brother jump scare, because I forgot he was in this game when he
Oh
popped up.
no. Yeah, fortunately he doesn't do too much in this one. I
Yeah.
agree. He could I wish we could just remove him from 10 too.
Yes.
Or at least maybe edit some of his characterization choices.
Yes.
Um, but here at least he seems to be a little bit more just you can deal with him a little bit better.
Hmm.
Um, the airship, fun note. And I think Titus calls this out too, but it's the airship that you are investigating at the very beginning of the game when
Yeah.
you're with Riku, and so that's kind of a nice full circle moment. Like you've seen
Hmm.
this place before. Um, and as they're escaping, leaving with some of the summoners they were able to find, some of the Albed they were able to find, they decide to blow up home, which is
Yeah.
really devastating to think like this is, they're trying to escape. They have this place that they have made out in the desert. And because of the siege that the Guado have put onto home, they're just like, we just need to destroy it. We need to make sure that, you know, they just can't use it or they can't, do what they need to there, find what they need to there in terms of information.
Hmm.
Um, and I didn't remember this part. And so this really struck me. But as they are deciding that, Sid, Brother, and some of the other Albed begin to sing the hymn of the faith
Yeah.
on the ship. And this struck me because this is a song we have previously only associated with Yevon. We've previously only heard in the temples. Um, but here it seemed like much more of an homage to home. It seemed like a form of memorializing or remembering this place that they're about to destroy. And I wanted to hear your thoughts on that and sort of why you think this was placed here in that moment.
Yeah. The just the fact that, like, Aaron had a quote earlier where he kind of talked about how like Yevon isn't the point, the faith are the point of all of this.
Hmm.
Like the religion has sprung up around the faith, but they're like, the religion is not the thing. The faith are the important thing. The faith give
Hmm.
the power to the summoners. The faith give, are associated with the Aeons, and we'll find out later the faith are associated with Titus. Like, the faith are the source of all of this. The religion is just built up around it. And so the hymn
Hmm.
of the faith, it makes sense to me that of non-believers of Yevon would place their trust in this song or place importance in this song,
Mm-hmm.
because it's not related to the religion. You can almost look back and see like the evolutionary chart where, like, you know, there probably was something before the religion of Yevon, and the Albed or their ancestors were part of that, whatever that was. And then the
Right.
religion sprung off, and the Albed were like, nah, that's not it. But the song still means the same, or it has meaning to them too.
Mm-hmm. It's such a it's kind of a random tangent, but it reminds me a little bit because I remember being very little and we went to we called it Korean church, my brother
Hmm.
and I, because we went more as a social aspect. We were not actually religious, but I always associated some of the songs and the music of going to church with the things that I felt like were emotionally what I felt like religion was more about, or faith, I guess, was more about. Like the music tied more closely to like what I felt like faith and religion was really trying to get at versus church and service,
Yeah.
if that makes sense. And so it was kind
Hmm.
of one of those moments where as I was playing, I was like, oh, this is like the true meaning of Christmas, you know?
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
this is one of
100%.
those moments. So yeah, I thought this was actually a surprise favorite moment of this half, one of my favorites, because I had totally forgotten about it and it just felt really touching to me.
It also, like, further characterization for the Albed. They're not part of the religion, but they're not faithless. Like, they have
Yes,
faith of their
exactly.
own. And the difference between faith, faith,
Mhm.
and religion. And, I guess it's not a surprise that they use the word faith as a proper noun, fayth, in this game,
Right.
um, for things like this. This is part of that, you know, they're related, but they're not the same thing, faith and religion.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah, exactly. Um Wanted to shout out a line that made my jaw drop when
Yes.
just to shout it out because I was
Waka
like,
hasn't had
whoa,
a zinger in a while, so
this was so bad. Sorry, I just slammed the desk because I was like, oh man. Um, as they're getting ready and they explode home, Riku, everyone is sad because their home was just destroyed. And Waka says, I think one of the worst possible things you could think of. And he tells Riku to think of it as like happy, majestic fireworks.
yeah.
And I'm sitting there thinking, what the fuck, Waka?
Yeah.
That is messed up. Um, but I will say, Riku calls him a big meanie. And if you talk to him later, he actually is like mulling over, like regretting that he said it. And he
Hmm.
says, I shouldn't have said anything. And it's one of those things where I wish he didn't say it either. But knowing his hatred for the Albed, the fact that he even is starting to show remorse, like, oh, that wasn't very nice. It
Yeah.
was one of those small steps from like, I see, I see change.
Uh-huh. A little bit of growth for Waka. You
Yeah.
can tell, like, the fact that he said it, you can tell that he's happy it's happening. Um
Mm-hmm.
which, not great, but I guess, if that's where we start, then we can only hope that he learns and improves, and he does.
Yeah.
But yeah, very, very unfortunate thing for him to say.
Yeah. I was like,
You
Waka,
you would
what the
he's been
hell?
I guess it's like, I don't know, an example of, like, if you hate this group of people, meeting one person from that group of people that seems okay is not going to change your mind about everybody else. It's more
Mm-hmm.
complicated than that.
Right.
And Waka's got a lot of work to do, a lot of self-reflection to
Mm-hmm.
do.
Well, he's got the time and he's on a ship full of people that he can get to know. So
Yes.
yeah. Um, but yeah, I guess from there is a boss battle that we get, but we're basically headed over to Bavel because
Hmm.
we still haven't gotten Yuna back. We know that she is with Seymour, with the Guado, with the Maesters, because there is a wedding that they need to get done.
Yeah. So the wedding is happening on this like this spire in Bavel. It's like raised up high in the air, and the party approaches on the airship, and they put these like, you know, harpoon cables or like anchor cables down, and the party grinds down like they're all wearing those soap shoes or whatever they're called.
Yeah.
They're all grinding down these cables. It's super goofy, but the cutscene's really impressive. As any time
Mhm.
in this game Square wanted to impress you with a cutscene, they always pulled it off. And so
Oh
this
yeah.
is really cool. It's really hype. It's goofy, but Titus is like flipping between cables and stuff. But it's really cool. We get some, so they land, they have to get through a bunch of these like high ups in the church to get to Seymour and Yuna. Maester Keenock has a gun, which like there's some really fun, there's some very
Sick.
screenshotable moments of Maester Keenock like pointing a gun at people.
Yeah.
Um, Memeable moments.
Hmm.
Very good stuff. You get up to like the wedding part. Um, Seymour basically hurries along the wedding scene. They have their kiss, which is just brutal to watch if you're
Yeah.
invested in not having them get married, or like not having Seymour touch her. You know, gross.
Yeah,
Um,
basically. Yeah.
but Yuna takes charge in a way that, like, again, kind of made my jaw drop the first time I played.
Hmm.
She backs away and basically, like, I think if I'm remembering right, she's saying like, "Don't hurt them," like, and then she backs to the edge of this thing. They're like hundreds of stories above the surface, and she jumps
Yeah.
off. Um, and as she's falling, Seymour's not concerned with this at all. He's like, whatever. He actually turns and goes, oh, okay, kill them, in like his
Hmm.
Seymour voice. Just showing you again, he's not a man of his word in the slightest. But
Yeah.
Yuna's falling. She's falling and falling. And she summons Valifor to catch her and carry her away at the last moment. Um,
Yes.
nice use of the summons. Good stuff.
Yeah. This is one of my favorite scenes. Honestly, the second half has so many good scenes.
Yeah.
This is a favorite simply because, okay, the dress, that the outfit that she's wearing for the wedding, it just is a really cool dress, but
Hmm.
is so symbolic and representative of where she's at as a character. Like, they put her in all white. She's got sort of angel wing detailing in the back. Um, you can see maybe this could be sort of a commentary on like the way that she is representing to Yevon this like pure tool that they're kind of willing to use, this pawn.
Hmm.
But her like it's just so anime. This dive back um is just this literal fall from grace in the eyes of Yevon, but falling into her faith. It's just
Mm,
like the true faith of what she believes is right. It's
yeah.
just so beautiful. This scene is just, oh, chef's kiss. It's so good.
Yeah.
Um, I love it.
Yeah, it's wonderful. And it again, it's great to see after all of these times when Yuna kind of went along with this plan that was presented to her to get married to Seymour and all of
Hmm.
that. She really takes charge here and is like, you know, if because you I don't know about you, but I never considered for a second that she was going to summon an Aeon to catch her. I
No.
thought she was literally jumping, and then,
Yeah.
maybe we'll figure it out, maybe not.
Yep.
But yeah, so it's a really impactful scene for
Yeah,
sure.
I love it. The small detail that I really love too is it's the first time you see her physically, like there's a part where she clenches her fist. I think it's when Seymour is kissing her.
Yes.
And I'm like, "Oh man, she's about to deck this guy."
Yeah, just
But
punch him in the
she
nuts right there.
yeah, I'm like, "She's ready." But it's like the most emotional we've seen her get. She is usually so chill with her
Hmm.
in terms of her facial responses, her body language. So to see her actually clench a fist and be that angry, like she's showing frustration, anger, like she is ready to do stuff, and that's just oh, yes, Yuna, yes,
Hmm.
let's go. We are seeing Yuna change, I think before our very eyes, it feels
Hmm.
like. And the second funniest part of this scene to me, besides Mr. Keenock with the gun, was Riku flash bombing everyone.
Hmm.
She just takes a grenade and tosses it,
Yeah.
like gives them the chance to run, and that is just genuinely funny to me.
Hmm. Yeah. Very good. Um, go down in the temple, and this is the last straw for Waka. You know,
Hmm.
Waka's change of heart has been in motion for a bit. He's had all of these things complicating his worldview as we go, and then the thing you find Machina inside of the temple, which is
Hmm.
the final straw for him, where it's not like he abandons everything. He's still upset later, like when you fight Unalesca. He doesn't want to
Right.
be doing that. But this is the part where he's like, yeah, yeah, you're right. They don't care about us. They care about
Hmm.
themselves. Um, yeah, finding Machina in the temple, this like the sacrilegious thing in the sacred place, right?
Yeah. Which that it would it to grow up in essentially this religion, to have been following the precepts so devoutly, and the premise of this religion is if we stay pure and we don't do these things, that's how we get saved.
Yeah.
And so the fact that no matter what the little people outside in the world, no matter what they do, because the maesters themselves are using the machina and these tools that are illegal, to the religion.
Hmm.
um I mean, from just even a will we be saved standpoint, it's like we'll never be saved, because even if you believe in that, like they're putting you at a -0. They're debuffing anything that you could ever do to show your devoutness to
Yeah.
sin, which is
And
wild.
then yeah, and then in the trial, when they're on trial for their crimes against Yevon or whatever,
Hmm.
you get like you hear it from the horse's mouth, basically, that like, no, this we don't care about any of this. Like, this is
Yeah.
all to keep us in power. They're all um their only goal is for them to stay at the top. This whole thing about like the cycle and with sin, like, hey, if you do it, cool, but we don't care. Like, either way, I wonder. I should have checked the map. I wonder if like the because Guado Salam is like inland, right? If Sin mainly travels by sea, then some of these places might have like better natural protection against Sin attacks. It's the
Yeah.
places um like Kilika and the places on like the coast that get wiped out when that we see in here. Um
Hmm.
Whereas like I wonder like Bevel, Guadosalam, like those places, they may be more naturally, it's not like Sin can't go there if he doesn't want to, but like
Yeah.
they
I'll
may have a little
say
bit more barrier.
I did a quick just Google search. I'm looking at a map right now. Guadosalam is a bit more inland, I would say, than definitely Besaid, Kilika, Luca.
Right.
Bavel is protected, while it seems like it's kind of on a coastal shore. There's a bay that kind of comes around it as well. So it's like
Mm.
there are some protections that they definitely have compared to the open ocean of Besaid, Kilika, Luca,
Yeah. Like,
even yeah, even Bicanel Island to some
mhm.
extent.
Yeah, it just made me think, because you get the sense, again, they don't care about this. They don't care about defeating sin. They don't care about searching for answers. They obviously don't care about the teachings. They don't follow the teachings. And the other big reveal about the trial is that most of the people in power are literally dead and unsent. Seymour is
Mhm.
unsent. We learned that about him. Um, all of them except for the Ronso are dead. They're undead. Um, and so, what do they
Oh.
care about threat to life?
Mhm.
Because it literally doesn't affect them. They're already dead. Who cares if death and
Yeah.
destruction, comes around? And
Mhm.
of course, it made me think about um, our ruling class, who are mostly extremely old. Um,
Mm-hmm.
there is very little. It's not like it never happens, but there doesn't seem to be a lot of opportunity for new blood in these like powerful institutions, at least the ones that we live under, Jenny.
Yeah.
And it's the same with this too. Like the people, like there should be new people in leadership. Everyone here is literally dead, but they refuse to leave. There should be
Mm-hmm.
new blood coming in. There should be new, uh, there should be people bringing up the issues of like the current generations and stuff like that, but they're not. And this, it's like taken to an extreme here. But this hit me as something that I had completely forgotten about. I remembered Seymour being unsent and Arin, but
Yeah.
not everyone else in the ruling class, basically.
Yeah. Yeah. It's, man, it is rough playing this section again, as you said, especially seeing, um, like, I'm not gonna lie, I saw a video of Mitch McConnell like literally yesterday,
Mm-hmm.
unable to even sort of verbalize and answer questions that people are asking.
Yeah.
And you see that, and then you see, like a Maester Micah who is like, we have this enlightened rule of the dead. And it's
Mm-hmm.
like, no, there is no sense of urgency. There is a lack of perspective, because you have no sense of time.
Yeah.
And if you are ruling people who have a limited amount of time and you yourself have no limitations on your time, there is then no urgency or, again, perspective on what actually needs to be done or how to prioritize. And so, um, yeah, this was a bit brutal
Yeah.
to
And
play
like,
and think about.
yeah, and the people in power, again, like this whole society basically is ruled by the fear of sin attacking and killing
Hmm.
everybody. I imagine it's all anyone can think about once they're older than like 8 or 10 years old, basically.
Hmm.
When's it going to happen next? But that thing that threatens the common people is not a concern for the people in power. It
Hmm.
literally cannot, will not ever affect them. So
Right.
what do they care? Why would they do anything to help? And,
Hmm.
you don't have to look too far to find examples of that in real life. The things that concern me and you do not concern the people who make the biggest decisions at all.
Nope. Yeah. Oh man, it's just, yeah, it's incredibly frustrating to see in the game and also in real life.
Yeah.
um and what's really just frustrating is that I think also you look at folks like Maester Kelk, who is a Ronzo, who
Hmm.
isn't part of this in the most direct ways. He is also a Maester. He's not unsent, but he is also, his adjacency to it is so frustrating as well, because it's like, does he want that for himself? Like, why is he not
Mm.
stepping up and maybe, doing something about this? Because he's in on it as well. And so it makes you wonder, just like, not only are these horrible people in power, but there are people adjacent to them that seem like they feel some sort of benefit in keeping it secret. Thus, they are keeping it secret. Um, yeah,
Yeah, Kelk gives it up at some point though. Like he
he does.
abandons
Yeah.
it, but he's been there for a while. I think it takes maybe he didn't know that they were unsent
Hmm.
until it's revealed to the party. They kind of like flaunt it in front of the party. Like they're like, "Oh, you think it's a big deal that Seymour is unsent? Look at all of us. Like, guess
Yeah.
what? Checkmate." And I think that's what disillusions Kelk. But he's been part of the power structure for a while before that
Hmm.
too. Um,
Yeah.
Maybe it's a situation where it's like, you know, one by like the traditional means, one person's not going to change the power structure.
Yeah. Well, and it's, you wonder, we don't get any of this, but you wonder what, if they have disagreed on other things before, what conversations have they had, that maybe have led Kelk to be more open to Yuna when you encounter him later and support her over the Maesters and over Yevon
Hmm.
at the end of the day. But I would imagine there had to have been cracks before us. There had
Yeah.
to have been things happening that are little bits that show the flakes, in the paint and all of that.
Hmm.
And yeah, Yuna's maybe the last one, and then maybe the most forceful person who's come through the system and questioned
Yep.
it.
Well, the trial doesn't go well,
No.
and we're officially branded as traitors. And I just wanted to shout out quickly the fact that we get a dungeon. We don't have a lot, like the whole game is kind of a dungeon, but we get a very traditional dungeon in here
Hmm.
where they split the party up, like some of the old Final Fantasy games do. I We do it a couple times, but I like going through the dungeon and picking up the other party members. And
Hmm.
it's really simple, but um, you have your water based party, and then you have your your land based party that has to split up
Hmm.
sometimes because like Lulu and Arin can't swim or something. I don't know,
All
but
those belts.
yeah, um, yeah, fun. It's fun to get a little mix up like gameplay wise like this.
Yeah.
Um, and then we fight Seymour again,
This guy just
second
won't
time.
die. Yeah. For real though, he's not dying and he keeps hanging out with us. And he is going a bit sort of darker and darker every time we see him. It becomes,
Hmm.
his true plan is being revealed, and it's not simply, hey, let me help Yuna get to Sin and bring back the calm. It's, if all life were to end, all suffering would end. Wouldn't that be
Mm.
great, everyone? It's like, no, that doesn't sound great at all. Um, and what's even more wild is as he's sort of monologuing, he comes up and he's just killed Keenock. He's like, I've just released him from his suffering.
Yeah.
He was trying to get this power and do all of this stuff, and now he doesn't have to worry about it anymore. Isn't that great?
Hmm.
It's just diabolical.
Yeah. And again, cannot emphasize enough. I love the voice acting for Seymour. Anytime he's talking about any of this, he's so confident, but he's so like cool about it too. Not
Mhm.
cool as in like I want to be like him, but cool as in like, yeah, this is what we got to do. Like I'm so calm
Yeah.
and collected about what's happening right now.
And the theme that plays sort of in the background of every time he's on scene, essentially, and he is
Hmm.
talking, there's also the song that plays is so just unnerving and creepy, and just you feel this like ominous evil presence.
Hmm.
And yeah, I think we do get a little bit of context for Seymour and some of his childhood and a little bit of where he's coming from, but I think even with that, he's not making very good choices right now.
Yeah.
He's not making choices I support, at least.
Yeah. I think that maybe we can talk about his like backstory when we get to it a little bit later. It's one of the things
Hmm.
that I don't think the game does particularly well. Like it's
No.
too little too late, I think,
Yeah.
to try to humanize Seymour.
Yeah. Yeah. He has been so villainous the entire time we know him. Like, I think it's interesting, but it's like, yeah, like you said, too little, too late.
Yeah.
Um, I did want to highlight we I don't maybe we skimmed over it, but I wanted to highlight.
Yeah.
We in Bevel got, I think, one of the final official Aeons. If you do some of the side quests, you can get a few others.
Mhm.
Jimbo, Anima, etc. But the story quest Aeon of Bahamut is here at Bavel as well, and we learn, if you hadn't like already known or guessed or clocked it, faith are human souls imprisoned by Yevon rites. So this isn't like, oh, these were faith that were exist solely to do this thing, that they exist to be demigods or whatever. It's, they're humans who have been trapped and they are continuously singing, continuously. They're in this cycle as well. Um, that for me, fascinating. Again, it's one of those things that I kind of forgot about until we playing this again. And I was like,
Hmm.
oh my God, yeah. And aeons are created when the faith essentially put their faith in the summoners to create aeons. And Aaron makes a comment about how the dead should be allowed to rest. And so he's showing us as players, especially if this is your first time going through, um, the faith are caught in a cycle as well. So
Yeah.
this
And
is
they should be,
everybody.
yeah, they're human souls and they should be allowed to rest. And then what
Hmm.
happens? What happens if they stop? Like this whole, I guess by that logic, no more aeons. What else would happen when they
Hmm.
stop? Later in the game, in the Zanarkand section, you get you actually see the faith. There, like you see the bodies in the walls, and it's very
Hmm.
striking. It's very metal to see. It's
Yeah.
very like I don't know if you played Blasphemous, but it's like it reminds
Mm-mm.
me of the art in that game, like very Catholic inspired
Yeah.
imagery and stuff like that. Really reminds me of that with the faith.
Yeah. It's it's intense. It's really cool, but it's super metal, but it's intense.
Hmm.
Um, and for astute folks, especially if you haven't played this and this is your first time, when you see Yuna praying to the Aeon, Bahamut, you might have recognized that figure because you see the figure of a boy. Essentially, it looks like a little boy, and that's a boy that we encountered way back when we started the game with Titus in Zanarkand of Titus's Zanarkand
Hmm.
at the Blitzball tournament. So is things are starting to piece together in really fun ways.
Yep.
Um, I agree with you. I see your note on the fact that the high bridge before the Seymour battle being the best or very good grinding spot.
Yeah. I
It's
was
where I
going to
stop
ask
every
you.
time.
Yeah. I don't think this game requires a ton of grinding as long as you fight everything that you run into randomly. But there's a couple spots where like I'm close to a thing on the sphere grid that's going to help in the next boss fight that I know it.
Hmm.
Um, and I think in this one, it's I need Yuna to learn Reflect before that Seymour boss fight.
Yeah.
And she's usually pretty close. So I usually, uh, every now and then, I don't mind grinding in an RPG. I'll throw on a podcast and I'll grind and I'll just kind of vibe. Um,
Hmm.
it really doesn't bother me unless it's like egregious, like old Pokemon games that have egregious grinding.
Right.
Um, and so I don't really mind it. And there's two spots in this game where I grind every time I play it. And this high bridge right before Seymour 2 is one of my spots.
Yep. Same. I think what is it? Kilka, right before Kilka Temple. That's my first grind spot. This is my second personally. Um, and yeah, I think with those two areas, and then yeah, just not running from any battles that you happen to get into, I feel like I've always been honestly overpowered compared
I
to what the game
Yeah,
needs.
I think um I think this game's it's really elegant the way you know how like if you get to the end of an RPG, I'm always tempted to Google like what level should I be for the final boss.
Mm-hmm.
And in Final Fantasy X, it's really elegant. It's like if you finish the sphere grid with everybody, you're ready for the final boss. You can do it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then by that time, I've always had enough time to take people into other people's areas of the sphere grid.
Yeah.
Um, but I think that it's set up that if you just get to the end of everyone's own section, you're ready. And I think
Yep.
that's just very easy to internalize, like when you're ready to
Yeah.
do the final boss.
Ugh.
Um, did you do you have like a favorite place to take the characters once they finish their own sphere grid?
Um, I don't have anything that I sort of go to every time. I think I honestly try to do something a little different every time. I feel like oftentimes Arin, Waka, and Tidus, they're kind of like I'll interexchange them
Yeah.
essentially, just keep them buff and strong, hard hitting. Um, Usually I'll give Yuna some black magic just to make her even more powerful, more offensive.
Hmm.
But I try to change it up just because it makes it a little bit more interesting. But that's typically what I do. What about you?
What did you do with Kamari?
This time around, I put him in Tidus's sphere grid.
Yeah, me
Um,
too.
yeah, just it
Just
feels nice. Little
he
speed, you know.
yeah, he's not very useful as a character no matter where you take him. He's never going to
Right.
be a good black mage or a good physical attacker, but he can use haste, and that's, that might be the most
Mm-hmm.
important move in the whole game. So, uh
Yeah.
more characters with it. So this time, I took Yuna and Lulu through Riku's sphere grid for more speed.
Oh,
I
nice.
kind of just like at the end, I was like, I need people to be faster if they could stand to be faster. And then I took Waka and Tidus and Arin basically through each other's areas.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, actually, Tidus and Waka to Arin's, Arin to Waka's. And
Mm-hmm.
then I don't remember what I did with Riku. Riku just used items in my, or like her overdrive one time. Because it's
Yeah.
all, for me, because I'm not doing the super bosses, it's all just
Mm-hmm.
prep for the final boss fight. So make sure people know haste, make sure people are faster than they would normally be. That's
Yeah.
about it.
Yeah.
But Yuna's very strong with black magic. Her I think her magic stat is higher than Lulu's.
Mm-hmm.
So if you give her those spells, she rocks.
Yeah. She becomes one of my favorite just to put in a battle character. She's just my go-to. By the end, I think I usually favor Lulu more in the beginning. But yeah, by the end, I like having Yuna in my party for emotional reasons as well as she just
Yeah.
ends up being a powerhouse.
So after we take down Seymour for the second time, we're halfway done with Seymour fights at this point in the game. It's on to one of the more memorable sections of Final Fantasy X here. We're back in Macalania Woods, and this is where Tidus finally gets a chance to talk to Yuna about
Hmm.
what he's learned. And the notable thing for me is that he apologizes to her about all of the like after we're done talk. Um,
Right.
they they've had time one on one. They had the laughing scene and stuff like that, but this feels like a more uh intimate, before they kiss and stuff like that. It feels like a more heart to heart conversation between the two of them, now that everyone's kind of on like an even playing field as far as knowledge goes.
Hmm.
So yeah, he apologizes to her about all of that. I'm like, kind of in the way of like, you know I'm sorry I made you constantly have this on your mind. Like, I thought I was being optimistic, I thought I was being
Right.
helpful, like, keep our spirits up, gang, we're gonna have fun after this is over. When actually all he's doing is reminding her of what she's marching towards. So I
Hmm.
I like this part a lot, and that's even before, like, the cutscene where Square shows off all their CG prowess.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh my God. The cutscene is beautiful. But I agree. Even before that, I think this is such a beautiful scene because these are two people who have really struggled to open up emotionally with one another. I feel like Tidus is emotional, but I don't think he's necessarily like vulnerable. And Yuna has been very stoic this whole time. And this is the first time they really do get a true heart to heart, like you said. I really think it's nice to see there's a moment where Yuna is thinking, well, I guess I don't have to do my pilgrimage at this point. I'm a traitor, I'm a heretic. Um, we know what we know, and maybe I just give it all up. And there's a moment where they're toying with this fantasy of, oh hey, what if you went to my Zanarkand?
Yeah, this
Titus is like, he's like, what if we could go and see the sunrise and stay up all night and do these fun, very like normal teenager things,
hmm
honestly. And there's a moment where you see Yuna thinking about it and really loving that idea, and then at the same time, almost exactly at the same time, she's getting a little lost in it, and then she realizes that for her sense of duty, her personal beliefs, um, she still can't let go of her resolution and her feeling of responsibility for the people of Spira and
Yeah.
wanting everyone to be able to experience that happiness for multiple generations, not just her and her friends, to just take a moment and say, why bother? Let's just, if this is futile, let's just give it up.
Yeah.
Because for her, this is more than that.
Yeah, you can see that moment where she allows herself for a second to dream about,
Mm-hmm.
after defeating sin, probably for the first time, like, but then she, Yuna's very, um, what's the word? Like, she's a realist and she's a planner, and
Mm-hmm.
she's like, as much as I would love to, um, she doesn't say this, but like, as much as I would love to continue this dream, I have to be realistic and we have to continue with this because I still think this is what needs to be done. And she breaks down after this. Like,
Mm-hmm.
the wall finally cracks. Like, she's been so stoic this whole time, and it finally, like, it all kind of feels like it rushes in all at once, and she starts
Mm-hmm.
crying, and it's really, um you know, she's always been this person of like quiet, reserved, keeping it all inside, but she has the impression the whole game she's completely under control, right? Um
Right.
Beyond her canonical age. You know, I'm in my head canon, they're all 8 to 10 years older than their canon ages, but
Right.
still, um to be this like collected in the face of all of this the whole game, you kind of got the sense that she's somehow separated herself from it or compartmentalized it all, but you can see here that she hasn't. She's just been holding it back publicly,
Mm-hmm.
and the
Mm-hmm.
dam kind of breaks in this part.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. And when the dam breaks, Titus, they're both in this beautiful pool of water, and they've been sort of floating and treading water and talking. And Titus goes to comfort her, and they kiss for the first time. This is nothing like the Seymour kiss. This is
Yeah.
like immediate juxtaposition. This is
Yeah.
so sweet and like stunning the way that they do this cutscene. And of course, the super famous song "Suteki Dane" is playing in the background, and it's just for me when I played this as a young teen, this was like a canon pillar moment for
Hmm.
me where I was like, this is reshaping my brain
Yeah.
watching this moment. It's so good.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, it's
Yeah.
great.
This the use of Yuna's leitmotif and bringing in vocals to it in this scene
Oh,
brings so much more emotion to it. Because I like Yuna's theme, but it's fairly like reserved most of the time. Um,
hmm
they do it like a couple of times later in the game. They'll bring it up in like big bombastic ways, but in this scene, bringing in vocals brings a real like human emotion to it.
yeah.
Um, Really, really good. And then yeah, the cutscene, like, I don't, if there's anyone with us who has not played this far and you're just like, yeah, I'll just listen to it. Um, Go watch that cutscene and think
hmm
about this. This is one of those things where it's like on the PS2 in 2001, or in my case in 2006 when I played this for the first time. This was the most beautiful cutscene I had ever seen in a video game. In 2006, the Xbox 360 was out. Like, there were, quote, better looking games by this point, but nothing could touch this part. And the emotion of it
Yeah.
all, you've been rooting for Titus and Yuna to like finally, kiss or like admit their feelings to each other, whatever. And it's finally, this is the point. It all comes together. Um,
hmm
and I love at the end of the scene that she asks him, just like, she's resolved back on, we're doing the pilgrimage, just stay with me until the end. That's all she asks of him, and
hmm
it's really sweet. And
And then he doesn't say, he also says, not till the end,
yeah,
always. And
right.
I'm like, oh. My heart.
Yeah. She
So
doesn't have to
good.
do this alone. Like she's been keeping it like literally she has not been doing it alone. She has her group of summoners,
Hmm.
but you can tell she's been bearing a lot of this by herself. I'm sure she's talked to Lulu and other characters along the way, but it feels like she's keeping it a lot like to herself.
Hmm.
And
Right.
it feels like she can kind of lean on Titus now.
Hmm. Yeah, this is just honestly, even watching it now in 2025, I feel like this is still one of the most beautiful cutscenes.
Mm-hmm.
I'm playing on the Switch, and the screen is tiny, so maybe that's helping make it feel still very detailed and everything. But God, I think it still holds up.
Yeah.
Um, it's beautiful, yeah. And seeing them walking back to the group, and they hold each other. They're holding hands as they walk back to the group.
Mm-hmm.
Like just the little detail of not only are they've essentially confessed to one another. They're okay talking about their feelings. They do like each other, but um, just that wider idea of Yuna being more okay, leaning on her friends, leaning on the people she cares about, and actually going to them for support, not just like at Makalania Temple where she's like, "Oh, I should have let you in on the plan." This
Mm-hmm.
is deeper than that, and it's just really, really lovely to see.
Yeah. And it gives us a little bit of I don't know about optimism, but a little bit of like comfort moving forward because we're
Yeah.
still trying to figure out like how are they going to do this without Yuna dying. But
Hmm.
she doesn't have to bear this all by herself.
Right.
So,
And I will say at this point, the first time I played, um, I guess heads up reference to Final Fantasy VII spoilers, which if you haven't played, I guess I'll put a timestamp to fast forward to. Um, but for me, when I had played this, I had also recently finished Final Fantasy VII for the first time when I
hmm
was in like middle school, so a few years ago. But I was fully under the belief at this point that Yuna was going to die. Like
yeah.
this for me as a young teen playing this, I was like, oh my God, we lost Ares. Now we're losing Yuna. What
hmm
is this game series? And so I am just holding it together by a thread because I'm also like Riku and Titus, where I just want to figure out what are we going to do when for 1,000 years no one's come up with anything different.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, I don't think at the time I was thinking in terms of like, my media literacy tells me that they're going to figure out a way unless
Hmm.
they're going to do like the really bold thing and just be like, actually, you get all the way to the end and they're like, actually, there was no other way. That
Right.
happens sometimes, but they're going to figure something out. So,
Hmm.
but we have no idea. And the first time I played too, I was right there with you. Like I went into the end of the game being like, man, I hope this works.
Yeah, exactly. Again, it's like now, and I think as an adult playing, I probably would have picked up the signals, but as a teen, I was just, I was in it and I
Yeah.
was on the edge of my seat.
Yeah. What do you think about the Mount Gagazet section after that? Because it's a little like, okay, we're putting a pin in this story and we're gonna do Kamari's thing for a minute to
Yeah,
me.
it really, the first half of it definitely feels like that. You get some really good nuggets of information. Again, because we go through, what is it, the calm lands, I guess we have this
Yeah.
like, there's like a field and you can grind and do some chocobo stuff. And then, yeah, you go up to Mount Gagazet. Um, we learned a little bit, I guess, more mid Mount Gagazet with Maester, Kelk or Elder
hmm
Kelk, I guess, because he's not Maester technically. Um, I don't think. I actually can't remember anymore. Um,
He was a
but
maester.
yeah.
Now
Oh, he was.
he's
Okay.
renounced it.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. That's right. Um, but yeah, it kind of drags. I like learning about Kimari, but this could have maybe been written in a more interesting way. I also think the environment, especially after the lushness of the other areas we've just been in, it just feels a bit like a drag to go through.
The one thing I do like about it is as you're because the Mount Gagazet area is really big, and
Yes.
the outside area is really big. The inside area takes a long time, and as you go up, you find the bodies of summoners who've died, or like not
Mm-hmm.
bodies, but like little what's the word, things that have been erected in their memory, like at the spot
Right.
where they died, like kind of like I don't know,
Like little
like
memorials, I
little
guess, or
memorials, yeah, like kind of like, you know, you pass by bodies on Mount Everest if you climb Mount Everest of people who died there.
mm-hmm.
um it's too dangerous to take them off, so they just leave them there, and it kind of felt like that. And if you go and you click on those memorials, there's always a little bit of dialogue
Mm-hmm.
about all these people who came so far on their pilgrimage, and they died right before getting to Zanarkand, basically.
Mm-hmm.
So I do like that, and then I
Yeah.
like what you learn, um, you know, about the history of the world as you go on further. You learn
Mm-hmm.
Seymour's plan, like his grand plan,
Yes.
as you fight Seymour number 3. Um, Yeah, so there's a lot of stuff here. I just don't like the Kamari section. I'm not interested in his storyline, and at this point in the game, I'm so interested in so many other things that it's like
Yeah.
it's Kamari time. I'm like, please no, can we?
Yeah. I think it's tough because it's the only place it would fit because that's where the
Yeah.
Ronzo are.
Hmm.
And so I get it, but I think like if we were ever to get a remake of this, I would hope they'd like re-explore the writing because I think if they just maybe did some of the writing a little bit differently and then maybe interspersed it throughout the full story a little more, like that would have led me to feel more invested. But we really only got it once when we were in Luca. We set up the characters that, his cousins essentially, and
Yeah.
then we see them again 10 hours later. It feels
Yeah.
like so it feels disjointed because there's no continuity really for me, but I'm like, I have a little soft spot for Kimari, so I it's fine, but it just is too long.
Yeah. But we do learn a lot of other stuff, and we do get a bit of like, you know, the Albed are on our side because they don't care about what's going on with Yevon. Now we know the
Mhm.
Ronso are on our side because the
Yes.
Ronso were arguably like the most devout of any of the people of Spira, and
Mhm.
they can't take what's been done, and they
Mhm.
decide that Yuna can pass through. They're not going to turn them in, even though, if you would have caught the Ronso 1 week before this, they would have probably.
Yeah, I think it's a testament to, again, you have the concept of sort of the minority that's in power versus the majority that actually have that different perspective. And I think this
Yeah.
is an example where it's like when more of people actually learn what's going on, their perspectives actually align with the people who are alive, and the people as a whole versus what that minority of the Maesters and Seymour want.
Yes.
Um, so yeah, it's nice to see that. I liked when I think Yuna is the one who says it, where she talks about how Mount Gagazet is sort of independently monitored and protected by the Ronzo, and she's like, my connection and faith with Yevon is like that now. Like I'm not part of the church,
Yeah.
and I'm a heretic for the church, but I am still I believe in these tenets that I'm still moving forwards with.
Yeah.
And I appreciated that comparison.
Yeah, you can definitely see that with people who get disillusioned with like certain aspects of, again, religion, but not
Hmm.
the core faith
Yeah.
behind it. You can have very strong faith, but not go to church, like that sort of thing.
Hmm. When we see Seymour at almost the top of the mountain, I think it's like right before sort of this apex area. Um, I did not remember this. And so I wrote this down in the notes because when this happened in the game, I was like, what the hell?
Yeah.
Um, Seymour talks about how Kimari is the last Ronso, and
Hmm.
that as he came up the mountain, the Ronso were fighting him to try to stop him from doing what he's about to do, and he massacres all of them. And I am sitting there like shocked because I did not remember that at all. Um, but just shows how, again, Seymour is just not at all who he portrays himself to be publicly.
Yeah. Yeah, the mask is 100% off. I mean, it
Mm-hmm.
was a while ago, but now it's
Right.
like he's doing evil stuff all the time now. Um
Mm-hmm.
and we haven't talked too much about it, and we don't have to get too deep into this, but we do the boss fight against Seymour, and I
Yeah.
think on this playthrough, because I've played the game so many times, all of the bosses in this game are puzzles in a way. There's no
Mm-hmm.
boss where it's just like, there might be like one, I don't know, where it's just like, just out damage this thing. The
Right.
way we think of like a boss fight in Final Fantasy 6 or 7, stuff like that. Every boss in here
Mm-hmm.
has like a really clear gimmick that you're not going to beat it if you don't figure it out. And that
Yes.
really, it comes to an inflection point with the next big story boss fight in Zanarkand, but all of the bosses are like that. And I kind of appreciate it. On the replays, I remembered most of the gimmicks. Um, it's not this one. I think is the one where Seymour has the thing that will heal him, but if you kill that thing, it'll pull health away
Mm-hmm.
from him. The last Seymour fight has those rotating element wheels and stuff like that.
Yes.
There's a
Yeah.
lot going on in all of these fights, and
Yeah.
for a game with like the combat system in this game is always kind of puzzly, trying to manipulate the turn order and get your guys more turns and stuff like that. I think it's kind of cool that most of these bosses are way more of a puzzle than traditional
Mm-hmm.
RPG boss fights.
Yeah. I think that's what made me like this game so much from the jump, again, even on my first playthrough, because it was my first time in a long time playing a game that was more truly turn-based versus the ATB
Hmm.
system where you're kind of still having to pay attention a bit more. And I love puzzles, and so it's like the perfect combination for me where, like you said, if you aren't someone who's over level just damage wise, you can still do really, really well if you just wisely use buffs, debuffs, and certain elements. And I always appreciate that in a game.
Hmm.
So after this battle with Seymour, he goes away until his next appearance.
Yep.
And the this is the point in which the rest of the party, Tidus uses this as an opportunity to tell them that Jet, his dad, is Sin.
Hmm.
And this is, a revelation to most of them. They have no idea. And they're starting to say, like, do you think you can fight your dad? Do you think you can take him on? Like, is this okay? Even Yuna asks, at the end of the day, I still have to fight your dad. Is that all right? And
Yeah.
Tidus is like, I mean, I hate him, so sure,
Yeah.
not a problem.
If anyone's
Um,
been okay with fighting their dad, it's going
right,
to be Titus.
right. Um, But again, it's really interesting because now that we know and we've seen, and we'll see in a little bit, Tidus has also seen the spheres of Jet being a bit more human.
Hmm.
We've started seeing different facets. And so you do start to wonder, like, what is this going to do when they finally, see each other? Because that showdown is going to be happening.
Yeah. Yeah. A little bit. It's not gonna be, they're not gonna hug it out, but
Right.
it's probably not gonna be like 100% anger. They're trying to build layers to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which always is appreciated.
Hmm.
Um, when do you reach the top of the mountain? I think that's when we see, this is where it starts. We're getting into Zanarkand, sort of off of the Gagazet proper, and we see this giant wall of bodies sort of embedded within it, and there's sort of this power, like aura, just moving around them. And I think Yuna's the one who makes a comment like, "Oh my gosh, these are the faith, and someone is summoning them. Like they're being utilized right now. Someone very powerful is utilizing them right now." Um, and as you're looking at them, I believe Tidus goes to maybe like touch the wall or feel them, and Tidus falls unconscious or asleep. and we get a very interesting cutscene giving us context for the history of the Faith, Bavel, and Zanarkand.
Yeah, a little bit of like backstory. Why is Zanarkand destroyed in this world?
Hmm.
It was destroyed in a war between Bavel and Zanarkand. Um, I may be mixing them up, but I believe Zanarkand was using summoners and Bavel was using Machina in the war,
Hmm.
and the summoners lost the power of Machina.
Yeah.
And so you can maybe tell why uh, Machina is forbidden for the people. Obviously, not forbidden for the people in power. They don't care. They'll keep using it. But it's
Hmm.
forbidden for the people because it's too strong, maybe. Um,
Yeah.
so the people in power stay in power by limiting what you can have these tools. They're not as strong as the tools we have, basically.
Yeah. Yeah, you can have the fun stuff like Blitzball.
Yeah.
That Machina's okay.
Yeah, summon an Aeon
Uh
if you want to. Have fun.
yeah, but anything of true substance is incredibly controlled through religion, uh, essentially disempowering future groups. And we have a little bit, which is also why you can see maybe why they would be so antagonistic against the Albed, because the Albed are open to, going and doing archaeological digs and reviving Machina and trying to see how it can be used.
Hmm.
Um, I also this section where Titus and essentially Bahamut in the form of the child, um, they're going through Zanarkand. Titus is actually back home,
Hmm.
essentially, and this is where Titus learns that he is in fact a dream of the faith, which
Yeah.
is a subdued it's a huge revelation, but it felt so subdued compared to some of the other revelations in terms of just how he learns it, and how quickly sort of the conversation keeps moving.
Yeah, I it took me and probably until my second or third playthrough before I fully understood what do you mean he's a dream, you know?
Hmm.
Like so the faith are keeping the memory of Zanarkand alive by dreaming about it. And the faith have
Yeah.
powers so they can make this into something real. Their dreams can be real. And so Titus is from that dream. Jecht is from that dream. Um,
Hmm.
Aaron can go in between the dreams as can Sin, or between the dream and the real world as can Sin. And it took me just a long time to like fully internalize how does
Hmm.
that work? And I think you do have to do a little bit of like, okay, I accept that the faith can dream something into reality. And
Right.
once you get that, it's okay. But how do you feel about this reveal? Because this is like I don't know that I've come across like an isekai story like this where, you know, Titus is not going back home at the end of this because he's a dream,
Hmm.
and we kind of figure out and there's a request basically to like let us stop, like let us rest,
Hmm.
let this dream end, and if the dream ends, then you go away too.
Yeah.
How do you feel about this? It's kind of a weird thing within this story, I think.
Yeah. I think what struck me the most this time around playing, is that I think Titus is he's having the opportunity, unlike anyone else, to put himself in Yuna's shoes. Because for him, going to sleep, the faith going to sleep, him not existing anymore, is going to be a part of this cycle ending. And where Yuna is still the person to sort of enact a lot of that as the dream that is being perpetuated by the faith, I think he has to also be okay with letting go and allowing this plan to come to fruition, even though we don't know exactly what it is yet.
Hmm.
The faith are kind of prepping him to say, like, ultimately, you are probably not going to make it.
Yeah.
And it was interesting because this whole time we're focusing on this burden that Yuna has to bear. She's prepared for it for her whole life. And now Tidus kind of is going to have that burden placed on him. And he has only just learned what this world is like a couple weeks ago.
Yeah. Did you ever get the
So,
sense that like if Yuna goes through with the plan and she dies and they summon the final Aeon, that the Faith would continue dreaming and that Tidus would continue to exist? Like, did you ever get the sense that it was one or the other?
I kind of felt that because I think, and this is where I think some of my understanding is still a little bit gray and a bit fuzzy on how the lore of it works. But I think later we learn about you, Yevon, who uses sin as kind of this shield.
Yeah.
And I think if Yuna still summoned like a final Aeon and like did and still went through with all of that, I think it would still perpetuate that cycle. I
Yeah.
don't know if they
I
I
think
think
so.
yeah.
It makes sense in my head that way, at least.
Yeah.
And who's to say honestly that this dream has like, I don't know. Some part of me thinks that like, dreams in real life, you can feel like a dream lasted a long time, but it's just a couple of seconds like before you wake up.
Mhm.
Um
Yeah.
and so time might be weird with the dreams too, like, but I guess they have been dreaming since the destruction of Zanarkand. So uh
Yeah.
I guess that doesn't fit either. It's really hard to like fully wrap my head around. I kind of need to just take a step back and be like, yeah, this is how it works. I'm cool with that. Moving
Same.
on.
Yeah.
But I remember the first time I played, I was kind of like, he's a dream? What do you mean? But what do you mean he's a dream? Like kind
I
of weird about it.
I was the same way. I think the first time I played, I did not understand what they meant by that. And
Yeah.
I kind of just like had the ending happen and I was like, "What? Okay, I'm just going to go with that."
Yeah. It's a
Um
good thing the ending is so like emotionally strong, because even if you're like kind of iffy on that idea of him being a dream, the ending still pulls it off. So,
mhm. Yeah.
uh
Um the other note I did have about this section, very tangentially, is is the idea of like technology, war, weapons, and power.
yeah.
I think just culturally, think it's really interesting because in Japanese media, especially because of World War II, there is a lot that has to do with like nuclear power and what it does when utilized,
Mhm.
especially because of the island, the fact that it's an island and you have proximity to a lot of natural disasters like earthquakes and tsunamis. We've also talked about how sin at the beginning, we felt like it was almost this natural force that they were working against. And the more the game has progressed, the more it has felt like a weapon of mass destruction.
Mm.
Like I think someone even in the hangout last month when we were talking about Operation Mihen was like everyone was gommaged basically because the laser that Sin shot was so strong.
Mhm.
And that stuck with me and I'm so sorry I forgot who said that during the hangout, but even playing this section and learning like Bavel and Zanarkand were at war and it was the reason that Bavel won is because of their superior weaponry and the technology that they had. All of this has kind of been stirring around my head
Yeah.
in the ways that just weapons are being portrayed in this game throughout this game.
Mhm. Yeah, when you lay it out like that, I would be surprised if I read that Sin was not inspired by Godzilla in some ways, because that's
Yeah, yeah.
the metaphor for Godzilla in a lot of those stories too.
Hmm. So we have defeated Seymour once again. We've seen the faith. We have learned a lot about Tidus that we're still processing. And then we get a really unique scene because it's one of the first, maybe the only Yuna monologues that we get in this
Yes.
entire game.
Oh man, this is before the ending, because the ending always gets me, but this scene is
Yeah.
so this we've talked about a lot of scenes that are hampered by the voice acting constraints. This one doesn't
Hmm.
feel like it. It really feels like Yuna's voice actor could just fucking breathe in this scene
Yeah.
and
Oh,
really let these
finally.
lines live. Um Yuna has recorded a sphere back at the Calm Lands, which was the big plain before Mount
Hmm.
Gagazet. There's a part where you can see her like out sitting at the edge of this kind of cliff, looking out at the water, I think, or at least looking out at the sunset. And like Titus interrupts her doing something there, and we find out what she was doing. She was recording her goodbyes to all of the yeah, to all of the
My
guardians.
heart.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's and she's like, so she goes one by one talking about, her memories with Kimari, with Waka and Lulu, with Arin, and it's really sweet. And again, the voice actor can really just let these lines live. She does a great job with
Hmm.
these. And it's just really sad because you're right. You pick this up right at the end of the Mount Gagazet section. You're about to go to Zanarkand, and Yuna's about to die. And you I don't think you have to pick this up, by the way. I think you can just run past it.
Oh,
It's a
really?
pickup on at least in the
Yeah,
PS2
that's
version.
right.
It's a pickup
Yeah.
on the ground. I don't know why you wouldn't pick it up, but
Right.
um
It's like so ingrained that's like I don't even question.
right. I play video games. If I see something on
Right.
the ground, I pick it up. Um but yeah, it's really touching, but it's also really tragic because Yuna loves all the guardians, and
Hmm.
she's basically, this is for after it's over for them to watch, and for her to say her goodbyes. And then at the end, um she says her goodbyes to Titus. It sucks that she couldn't say the name Titus,
Right.
um, because you can change the name if you want to. So at the end, she says, "I guess that just leaves the newest guardian," and you're like, "Okay,
Hmm.
that's me, ass face or whatever I named Titus." um,
Right.
and she kind of talks about their memories, and then at the end, she says, "I guess this is what it feels like. It's wonderful, but it hurts sometimes." Basically saying, "This is what love
Oh,
feels like." Uh, but it hurts
damn.
because she's about to go die, and it's just
Yeah,
very, very good, very effective scene.
it is. It's other than that one moment in Macalania, the woods with Titus, this is the first time out loud to the other guardians she has shown any semblance of um sort of just fear in what lies ahead for her.
Hmm.
I think at the very end, she even is like, I'm afraid that, and then she's like, oh no, how do I rewind? How do I
Yeah.
record over this? Um, because, old habits die hard and she doesn't want them to know that she's afraid and that
Yeah.
she finally has something to lose and she's realizing what she has to lose. And that has made this even harder for her to do what she knows is the right thing to do, but it's just gotten harder for her now that she's let herself feel things.
Yeah. And
Ugh.
it must be too hard to just like say it to everybody like in person. So the recorded
Hmm.
message is the way that she chooses to do it.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah, this one uh again, I'm a crier. I cry at everything. It's just how my tear ducts work, how my feelings work. This made me cry for
Yep.
sure cuz it's
Every
just
time I play the game, this one gets me.
yeah. And it's true. It's so nice that just as an aside, her voice actress and actor got to like fully breathe into the lines because we're so used to Yuna being like, yes,
Yep.
so fast. And just not being able to like just yeah, breathe. And so I'm happy that there was no face capture and they just panned over the scene.
Yep. Yeah, it's really well done. And then the scene right after this is really brutal too. Um,
Hmm.
we didn't mention it in the first episode, but the main menu is like an in media res scene,
Right.
because now we're back there at that
Hmm.
uh gaming's most depressing campfire scene. Um,
Truly.
so like you watch the sphere, you leave Mount Gagazet, you get into Zanarkand, and then we have the campfire scene where if you don't remember, everyone's sitting around, they've all like stuck their weapons in the ground, so their weapons are all together, and they're sitting around this campfire. And we talked a little bit, probably in the first episode, about the campfire scene trope and how
Mm-hmm.
it's usually used for character building, deeper discussions between characters, sharing of backstories. You know, thinking of the scene in Chrono Trigger, thinking of
Mm-hmm.
the scenes in Expedition 33. Um, this is often like exhale, characters talk to each other. Let's talk
Yeah.
about what's going on, stuff like that. And this scene is so different because everyone is too sad to talk. Like
Mm-hmm.
everyone's dreading. You can like see the door down there where like once we go through that door, Yuna's gonna die. And so no one wants to talk. And it's like it's really strong how they subvert the campfire scene trope.
Yeah. Yes. I think all of that, all exactly that. I am such a huge fan of the campfire scene, and this is included in it simply because it is almost like the antithesis of what we always expect from the campfire scene.
Yeah.
And it's just you have two Zanarkand playing in the background.
Mm-hmm.
You have the sunset. It's just everything about it is impeccably done. And again, the game is just at the point where we're constantly getting emotionally brought down just with the characters because they're like, if you've never played before, this is it. Like this, and you haven't come up with anything. And
Yeah.
I think there's even a scene where Riku is like, "Oh, why don't we set up camp here instead?" And Auron's like, "We stop when we hit the summit. Like, what you know, or we stop when we hit this one spot. What are you talking about?" And Riku's like, "I just wanted to like buy just a little more time."
Mm-hmm.
So the moment is now.
Yep. And there's a really good part in the scene where Titus is trying to do his optimistic guy. He's trying to do
Mm-hmm.
the thing that always happens, where he's trying to do the hey, remember the time when this happened, and like no one's having it. Like everyone's
Yeah.
just like, man, this ain't the time. And Yuna even says like, I think we should stop. And just
Yeah.
yeah, how sad is that? That like even Yuna,
Mm-hmm.
she's just kind of like, you know, this I know what you're trying to do, but it's not happening, man.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like, and Yuna, she's been right there with him on the
Yeah.
optimism stuff, you know. She's the one doing the laughing. So you know that things are about to get real. Um and as we descend, we enter the realm of Unalesca.
Hmm.
Uh and oh, did you want to chat first about
No, I just wanted to say, as we descend, the music as we descend in Zanarkand is
yeah.
incredible. It's like
Yeah.
a bigger version of I think it's Yuna's motif as we go
Mhm.
through. So
Yeah.
it's like the music is picking up intensity, but you know you know what's waiting for you when you get down at the bottom.
Mhm. And it's not great. And this scene
Yeah.
is, oh my God, this whole section where once you enter sort of the final, I guess, temple of Unalesca, uh, she immediately reveals another part of this process that even Yuna did not know about and did not essentially consent to,
Hmm.
which this whole time, I personally struggle with this idea of putting the weight on one person, but there's an argument to be made where it's like, well, at the end of the day, every summoner knows like what the journey means, that they don't come back from it. But what we learn is that it's not just the summoner. Yunalesca says that she, Yuna, must choose one of her guardians to become that final Aeon. Their body must be used as a sacrifice as well.
Hmm.
And that bond between guardian and summoner is what makes that final Aeon so powerful. That is so diabolical.
Hmm.
Like, oh, and
Yeah.
knowing Yuna and her the care and love she has for her guardians, Um, she could have never made that choice, you know? It's like,
Yeah.
it's just impossible.
Yeah. Choose your best friend. Not only are you sacrificing, choose your best friend to sacrifice alongside with you. And
Mhm.
Lulu immediately volunteers for it. Just
Yeah.
uh yeah, it'll be me. A couple others volunteer for it as well, but Lulu does it first.
Mhm.
And yeah, just another knife in your side as you get close to the end and these sacrifices loom right in front of you. It's not just Yuna. And then if you're still following the plan and you're kind of wondering like, okay, how did Jecht become Sin out of all of this? Why is he
Mhm.
Sin? And I guess whoever volunteers to be the final Aeon then becomes Sin, because you see a scene of Jecht volunteering to do it.
Mhm.
He says, "Might as well make myself useful."
Right.
Again, if he was in your RPG party, you would love Jecht.
Yeah.
You'd probably be like, "Hey, man, take better care of your kid," but you would like him as your party member.
Yeah.
So then, yeah, think about, the next Sin is Lulu. I don't want that to happen to Lulu.
No. I don't want that to happen to anyone.
Right. But especially Lulu.
Right. Um, yeah, and again, this is one of those things where, uh, from my understanding, and maybe you can help with this as well, but uh, Yevon, the religion, has set this process up. They have created a situation where summoners are encouraged to choose their closest friends, companions, family members to join them on this pilgrimage. People are being set up for this slaughter, essentially. And for me, that is just, again, another level of diabolical, another level of the disregard that these maesters who uphold this process have for the people actually going through it.
Hmm.
Because also, at the end of the day, you get to that point, you have sacrificed so much. Of course, someone who is that devout will either volunteer if they're a guardian or feel like they have to just pick as a summoner. It's like they're not going in informed and it's leaving them forced to make these decisions. And that's just for me not okay.
Yeah, it's all part of their plan. Um, the world that they've constructed is dangerous enough to inspire belief in the plan that they've set up. You're going to
Mhm.
place all your hope in these summoners and you're going to live without Machina. You're going to live without Sin, because that's your only hope, because this is all so dangerous. You have no other choice. You have to live this way. And then, the ones in power, they exist basically outside of this. It doesn't affect them. So they have the ultimate population control, basically. No one's going to rise up against them because they're too worried about, is Sin going to attack our home tomorrow? We got to make sure
Yeah.
that we pray. We got to make sure that we live our lives the right way, decision by decision. Because if you don't, Sin's going to come wipe out our home tomorrow, and that's it. So,
Yeah.
yeah, it's all set up in a way for those in power and, generally, you, Yevon, to just continue doing this.
And that's something I don't think I had really thought about until listening to you say this, where the general population is kept under control, and the people who would be potentially smart or strong enough to conflict or to like cause questions to be asked, to fight back against the maesters, um, those probably would be the summoners. And so it's like everyone
Mm,
and having such a strict role, it's like they've controlled the population, they've found a way to control the summoners, uh, and then they ostracize the Albed. And
yeah,
so there's no avenue for people to question because they're given such strict roles.
right. I'm sure that Waka is not the only person that hates the Albed.
Right. Oh man. Um, I think in this scene you mentioned already, we do get a peek, and throughout this entire I guess, section with Unalesca, learning a lot of this, we get these juxtapositions between how the present team is reacting to a lot of this news. And then we see these flashes uh, within the scene themselves, almost like the Fireflies are enacting what happened before. We see Jet, we see Auron and Lord Braska and how they handled a lot of these revelations as well. Like the one you mentioned with Jet volunteering. We also see Auron um, going back to Unalesca and being the most emotional we've ever seen Auron, being mad about the fact that the cycle will continue to perpetuate. Oh, sorry, he doesn't go to Unalesca here. This is when he's talking to Braska. He gets mad about the cycle perpetuating, and he's like, "Your deaths will mean nothing." And this is again, we have never seen him raise his voice,
Hmm.
even like he's always been calm, steadfast, and this is him getting emotional.
Yeah, he picks his spots
He does.
to really get emotional and let people know. It really doesn't. It may have just been a calculated thing. Like, if we get up to this point again, then I'm going to make my stand that we can't do this same thing
Yeah.
again. Oren has a really unique perspective here. He's, as far as we know, he's the only person who's done two complete pilgrimages, right?
Mm-hmm.
So his perspective is really valuable. And when he talks at the end here, um, people listen.
Yeah. As we head into the battle with Unalesca, I appreciate that again, being the outsider, Titus is the only one who's like, well, instead of everyone just volunteering to die, basically, become sin, could we just like ask
Yeah, yeah.
Unalesca?
Can we talk to Unalesca?
Can we just ask her first if there's another way? And in my head, I'm like, thank you. Finally, someone with a little sense. You don't have to just like jump when they tell you.
Hmm.
Um, but again, it's just a testament to the fact that he is the outsider. He knows and has the ability to ask these questions because he's not embedded. Um, and what I love is that as they start to face Unalesca, we've heard iterations of it's your story, it's my story. And I think this is the first time we hear Una say, hey, this is my story too. And I want to go and like figure this out.
Hmm.
Yes.
I, I actually, so I wonder if this is a cultural thing. The thing with Titus saying this is my story has always struck me the wrong way because like it's
Hmm.
clearly not your story. Um it feels a little selfish in a way that doesn't seem in character to him,
Hmm.
to the rest of, the things that he's done and said throughout the story. So I was going to ask you how you felt about that. I do agree, the Yuna saying this is my story too, and then
Yeah.
this is our story later on is good.
Hmm.
But even in the final boss fight, Tita says this is my story, and it's like, dude, come on. I've
Yeah.
always felt a little put off by that.
I have as well. I think part of me chalks it up to um especially at the beginning, you're like, okay, he's our player character, so you can kind of be like, oh, it's sort of a false, false
Mm,
lead where you're like, oh, this is Titus's story. Oh, wait, no, actually, if you pay attention, it's not.
hmm.
But it is interesting that like by the time you get to that final boss, come on.
Yeah.
You've already said at Unalesca, this is our story, so we should just keep that going.
Right.
So yeah, it is off-putting is a good way to phrase that.
Yeah. Did the boss fight against Unalesca mess you up the first time you played it as badly as it did me?
I was surprised. I actually did okay. I was shocked because I was ready for it to mess me up because I remember it messing me up in previous playthroughs.
Right. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I think I've also just severely over leveled myself.
That's
So
also a
that helped.
possibility. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, I remember the thing when she comes out in the second or third phase and just uses the attack that kills everybody. I was like,
Yep.
what? That's not fair. Um, and it took me a while to figure out, like, she can't kill you if you're a zombie. And
Yep.
again, they all have a puzzle thing. This is the most infamous thing. I think it gets everybody the first time they
Yeah.
play it, because why would you not heal a status effect? That's how video
Right.
games work. Um, so yeah, definitely an infamous boss fight. but not that
Hmm.
bad if you know what's going on, if you know how to do it.
Yeah.
And honestly, that's how most of these fights go. If you know how to handle it, you can do it. You can beat this game without doing anything on the sphere grid. I obviously will never do that, but it's possible. So knowledge is power just as much as stats, we'll say.
Yeah. And time,
And
I would
yeah,
imagine.
time is probably the ultimate power there.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny because even like the final boss battle, because it's been a minute since I've done it, but that final boss battle, I think is near impossible to lose. At
The
least the
final one. Yes.
final one. It's like I think the like maybe if you hurt yourself, that's the only way potentially you could lose it. But I think from Unalesca onward, it's kind of like if you got the trick, you're probably fine.
Hmm.
I would say. I don't want to. I feel bad because then someone's going to be like, I actually had a really hard time with this, and this boss. But I think from this point onward, it felt for me like it was pretty smooth coasting for the battles.
Yeah. The final boss, like the final one with Jekt, is tough, but
Hmm.
it's if you've done enough of the sphere grid and you know how to not make the fight harder, then
Yeah.
you can outlast it. Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll get there. Um,
Hmm.
so I think at least one of these happens, and possibly both. When you go in to fight Unalesca, I think Waka says, "I can't believe we're about to fight Lady Unalesca." And then after you
Hmm.
beat her, I think he says, "I can't believe we just killed Lady Unalesca." Like
Yeah.
he's still
God.
in his she's within the religion, she's like a big deal. And he's
Yeah.
like, "Man, I can't believe it would be like, I can't believe I just killed one of the apostles. Like, what am I
Yeah. Oh
doing
my
here?"
God. Like again, it's like we know that Waka, um, he has seen the corruption of the church itself and the maesters, but it's like this is another level up. Like you said, this is like an apostle. This isn't just some sort of a priest. This is like getting closer and closer to God
Yeah.
themselves, And I can imagine, even though he's seeing it a bit more clearly, this has got to be the most horribly surreal experience for him at this
Yeah.
point.
Speaking of surreal, um, after the fight, when you walk out, you're back in Zanarkand. Sin is
Hmm.
sitting right there outside of where you fought Unalesca. And this is not possible, but I swear he has a look where he's like, what the fuck? Like, we were supposed to, you're supposed to do the Aeon thing. And like, Jekt is like, you're supposed to kill me. Like, what are you doing?
Oh,
Um,
dang. Oh, I need to see now. I'm like, I have to play again
it's
or
something
maybe
about the
watch a
way
playthrough and
it's
find
something
it.
about the way Sin is posed right outside the arena, where
Hmm.
I got the feeling where he's like, what? Like, that's not what the plan is. Like, what are you guys doing? Um,
Yeah.
and if Jekt is aware of everything that's going on, I'm sure he's feeling that way, where he's like, that was not part of the plan. You weren't supposed to kill Unalesca. There's not going
Right.
to be a final Aeon now. What's happening here?
Right. Oh, that's such a good detail. I'm gonna have to go and look at a video or something because that's really cool. Um, and yeah, we also, again, like you said, we don't have Unalesca's dead. We don't have a way to get the final Aeon, which is the only way we know how to even bring about a calm, let alone defeat Sin for any substantial amount of time otherwise. And so everyone's kind of like, what do we do? And I think it's Yuna who eventually said, Yuna or Riku, actually, maybe, says something about, hey, maybe we should go back to Bavel, figure out like maybe the Maesters can help. Maybe there's something that we can figure out in Bavel that will get us to a solution to this problem that we now have.
Hmm. Yeah.
Um, when we arrived to Bavel, what is it? Is it Shalinda? Yeah, Shalinda. I love that she just runs up and tells these guards to stand down because if I was a guard, I'd honestly be like, "Who are you?"
Yeah.
But she seems like she has somehow risen in the ranks and made herself helpful to at least the folks in Bavel, and she is talking about how it is just absolute chaos right now. And that in addition to everyone just sort of being chaos, the religion itself is under chaos. Maester Micah is apparently also telling everyone that the evil at Albed have they were the ones responsible for spreading rumors of
Hmm.
Being a heretic. And Micah is like, actually, you need to just finish your job. I need you to just go and do the summoner thing at this point.
Hmm.
Which, surprise,
Yeah.
we can't.
When in doubt, blame the out group on
Yeah.
whatever's happening. Again, where do we see that on a day-to-day basis?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Just yeah. The turn on a dime just to serve whatever he needs to have happen is so frustrating.
Hmm.
And this part I actually wasn't 100% sure. I always assumed oh, Maester Micah tells us about the fact that we have screwed everything up,
Yep.
and that you, Yevon, a former summoner who is essentially the one who is leading the cycle of sin, who causes sin to form, who uses sin as his armor. You, Yevon, is like the ultimate god of everything happening. Micah says, because you have destroyed our ability to get the final Aeon, you, Yevon, will win, and Spirit is just doomed for sure. And then I felt like he just decided to give up and send himself.
Mm.
But I wasn't entirely sure if maybe he just also was like, I'm dead, I'll just teleport away. What
Oh,
was your read on that?
I think it makes more sense to me unless he shows up later and I just like missed it, but it makes a lot of sense to me where he's like, you know what, you screwed this whole thing out, peace out. I've, time to go. Um, I don't know. Sid can't kill me in the far plane or whatever, so
Right.
let's just let's just get out of Dodge.
Yeah. Okay, that's what I figured, but I was like, maybe I misunderstood. But it's almost comical how quickly he's just like, peace.
Yep.
Just gets out.
Yeah. I like this final scene before we go to confront Sin. I like the part where Yuna has figured out like the dream, um
Mm-hmm.
the fact that like, okay, we're gonna bring the faith's dreaming to an end, and she's figured out that's going to affect Titus somehow, and she asks him and he lies to her about it. He's
Mm-hmm.
doing the Yuna thing where he's like, nope, I'll just keep it here,
Yep.
because he doesn't want to hurt her feelings, I think. I don't
Yeah.
I don't see this as like a selfish, like, no, we need to get to the end, therefore I can't tell you the truth. I think it's more just like, we've just had like these wonderful moments, and we've also rocked everybody's faith. We killed Unalesca. um I don't know. I don't know if Una can handle this right now.
Yeah. And I think Titus, at least based on the conversation that he and Bahamut had before, and then when Bahamut, Yuna, and Titus are in the cloister talking, uh, it feels like this, this is the only remaining path. Previously, they had sort of two options. They didn't know they had two options, but now the only way they can defeat sin is to end the dreams. And I think it's one of those situations where I feel like if Titus told Yuna would say, no, let's try and figure out another way. There has
Hmm.
to be another way for you to be able to stay here and we can defeat sin. And I think Titus, through the faith, understands that that is not the case.
Yeah. The plan is they got to get inside and they got to kill you, Yevon, to
Yes.
permanently put an end to it all. And
Mm-hmm.
honestly, that makes sense. And you learn a little bit about like, if you summon an Aeon, you, Yevon, will like take it over. So like that's not going to be a great way to kill him, but it could be the key to making him vulnerable.
Mm-hmm.
So that's got to be the way. So there we go, into
Yep.
sin.
Yeah. So
Yuna tells
everyone,
Titus that he's a bad liar too, which is a
yes.
good final
Yeah.
thing. Like,
So
she knows.
she knows. And I think maybe more importantly, she understands because she would do the same thing. And I
Mm,
think in that sense, she doesn't push it because of that.
yeah.
Um, and so the plan to get Sin to get closer is everyone sings the hymn, draws Sin in, and then just boop, jump right in. And who do we see? Seymour.
Yeah, I think we
How?
missed this earlier, but Seymour's plan is to become Sin
Yeah.
and to control it. Uh Not for good, probably, but he probably sees this as um a way to become powerful, a way to become more powerful. We get a little
Hmm.
backstory with Seymour at some point where you find that his mother was a human and his father was a Guado, or vice versa. He's half Guado. Um,
Hmm.
so similar to Yuna in a way. Um, and Seymour grew up, his family's ostracized because of their mixed blood or something like that.
Yeah.
And he thinks that the only way to get people to respect him is to, um, I think it started as like a noble, like, if I become Sin, if I remove Sin, then people will respect us,
Hmm.
and like the burden will be lifted from my family. But it got corrupted along the way. And so now he just, by the time you meet him, he's he is the JRPG final boss design
Yeah.
in the Seymour 4 boss fight. So I think it's too little too late, like we said, trying to humanize Seymour and his plan. It's kind of a tragic thing where his plan maybe once was noble, but absolutely not anymore. And yeah, he's in.
Yeah.
Yuna sent him after the third boss fight, but he's still in Sin because Sin doesn't work the way everything else works.
Right. Yeah, I think oh, excuse me. Seymour's really interesting because he's a character I wish we got more of that backstory sooner. I think it would have made him more interesting. I think it would have made him less of a caricature, I guess, of a villain because he is so evil. I think by the time that we see him after maybe the first or second, when we meet him in Luca, we kind of don't know his deal. I think probably by Gagazet is where it just feels like he's just off on this whole other plane of existence in terms of his goals and what he wants, and it becomes like less for me it makes less sense. It's just so nihilistic. It doesn't connect back to who we met at the start. And I'd
Hmm.
love to have seen that happen a bit more gradually or learn more about what made him that way. Um Again, it's like if we ever get a remake, I would love extra content around that. But yeah, it's interesting because I find it fascinating because again, he is like Yuna, sort of like mixed race, essentially, Guado and human. And I think that to me is a really interesting thread to pass through and like explore, especially considering just how this society seems to organize itself around like their in groups.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, yeah, but he is just does not know, he does not stay down. He just keeps coming back. And this is the final encounter with Seymour
yep.
for
Finally take
real.
him out. He's got those weird element reels going
Yeah,
on.
the like rotating things. Yeah.
Hmm. It's an interesting puzzle of a fight, but it's not too hard to manipulate it so that you can
No.
stay alive. Inside of Sin here, there's two sections. Um, they're both good grinding spots if you find yourself like struggling. If you're not at the end of the sphere grids, like you can grind up really quickly in this area,
Mhm.
or if you're trying to get further in someone else's sphere grid. Um, and then we get to the final showdown with Jecht. The inside of Sin is really weird. Like it's not a dungeon where you're like literally inside of a creature. It's not
Right.
Jabu Jabu's belly from Ocarina of
Right.
Time. It's like this weird foggy area, and then the second part you're going through like city ruins, or
Mm-hmm.
like temple ruins, and inside the temple ruin section is the one where you get um the final showdown with Jecht.
Mm-hmm. And you have a moment where Titus, he walks forward. He is the first to sort of really talk to Jet. Jet says, You grew up. You're taller. You're kind of gangly,
Hmm.
but you're big now." You see a little bit of that sort of resentment coming through. I think Titus is something like, "Well, I'm still not as big as you." Um, but I think what I appreciate is they're not, Titus isn't like, "Dad, I missed you. I love you. I'm so happy to
No.
see you." But there is, I think, a newfound respect that they have for one another. Especially Titus having seen Jet through the spheres. Jet has obviously been watching Titus this whole time. Um, and I think through that respect, even though Titus says, I think he says multiple times, like, "Dad, I hate you."
Yeah, it's
um,
yeah.
Jet says, like, "I understand.
Hmm.
I get it."
Yep.
Um, yeah.
there's um there's a real like stereotypical masculine, like, father can't say nice things to his son, or like doesn't know
Yeah.
how to go heart to heart with his son. In this scene especially, you can tell Jecht is like real awkward about seeing his
Mhm.
son. um and then yeah, the Titus is like, this is my one chance to say, like, I hate you. You've done nothing but make my life worse. But there is a little bit of that, like, I see the burden that you've lived with now through seeing those spheres, and kind of understanding more of like, what does it mean to be sin. Jecht is
Mhm.
aware of what's going on, I think.
Yeah.
So um the I hate you line is another, like, it's way shorter than it should be, because of, obviously, the Japanese translation is much shorter than it would be to say that in English. um
Mhm.
a really rushed line delivery, because they didn't have a choice. um
Yeah.
you could imagine, like, what if Titus was allowed to say a couple of sentences here instead of saying
Mhm.
I hate you? But that's what we got. That would be my number one curiosity for a remake, because in the remaster they really didn't mess with
Mm.
the localization much.
Yeah.
Even though I guess it probably would be like beyond the scope of the project to have voice actors re-record lines and stuff like that. But
Right.
um, yeah, maybe the last one. No, it's not the last one. Yuna's got the last one. But
Yeah.
uh, yeah. So the big showdown with Jecht, with the Otherworld song from that opening Blitzball game, the metal song. Um,
So good.
it's we've talked about it before. It's a bad song. I wouldn't listen to it outside the context of this game, but there's, I love the game and I love everything associated with it. So I like the
In
song.
this battle.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
in this battle.
Yeah. It's funny because I feel like going back to the "I hate you" line, I have conflicting feelings because I think the fan in me definitely wants more dialogue and discussion there. But I will say, as someone who has had a very, very contentious relationship with my father, and I think in a lot of ways similar to well, maybe not similar to Titus, but I think there wasn't a lot of love there while my father was alive. But when he passed, there was a lot of really like,
Mm,
God, like, I kind of hate you, but I don't. I think that "I hate you," the rushed ofness of it, even though you can tell it is restricted because of the language, the localization, I feel like there's a certain, like, that captures a certain feeling that I think is nice to have, not explained necessarily, but
mm.
just like I
Kind of like a saying it through gritted teeth kind of feeling.
yeah, yeah, it's like I have so much I want to say, and the thing that I have that I can really lean on is the fact that I've just been focusing on the fact I hate you so much.
Yeah.
But that's
Yeah.
not but that's not what I totally feel. Like there's so much more, but all I can say right now is I hate you.
Mm-hmm.
And I think for me playing, that's like the way I interpret the line a little bit, which gives, again, the localization a little grace. But for me, it makes a bit of sense.
Yeah. Yeah. Totally understand.
But after fighting Jet, Vraska's final Aeon, killing your own Aeons, because as you go through the battle, you basically go through every Aeon that you have.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Feels bad.
Good fun. Yeah,
Yeah.
great fun.
Feels bad to
Especially
summon
if
your Aeons and just one by one kill them because you, Yevon,
you.
takes them over.
Yep. Uh, and then we get the next emotional moment because Tidus tells everyone. Well, no, before that, actually, Aaron says like, "Yo, I think this is my time."
Mm.
I think he does that
After
first.
after you kill you, Yevon. Yeah.
Yeah. Aaron's like, "Yuna sending everyone. You got to send me too.
Mm-hmm.
I'm
Yeah.
excited to rest."
Yep. Time to go.
um,
Aaron's earned it, if anybody has.
yes. Oh my gosh. And you get his theme playing in the background. And that's a moment of a little levity before what is the next reveal that Tita shares with the rest of the team.
Yeah. So just real quick before that, Yu Yevon's design as like when you fight it in the boss fight, it looks like a parasite to me, like a very
Mm-hmm.
classic parasite, which I think
Yeah.
is nice symbolism for like the head of an evil religion, basically.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Yu Yevon persists because of everything it takes from everybody else around the
Yeah.
world, basically.
Yep.
Um, but after you kill Yu Yevon, Tidus lets everybody else know that he's going to disappear. And there's a bunch of mixed reactions around. Um, but Yuna has trouble accepting it. That's the main one.
Yeah.
She, you know, we get into this ending scene that always gets me too. It's the part where she says her goodbyes, and then this ending scene where
Mm-hmm.
they're on the deck of the airship when this is
Yeah.
happening. So she runs over to try to hug him, and she passes through him, falls hard on the deck of the airship, and it's brutal. Like she like crashes into the ground too. So
Mm-hmm.
like you get that um I don't know, hurts in more ways than one, but it's brutal to see her like pass through him like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. At this point, when I play this game, I'm just crying
Yeah.
because it's it's such a mixture of emotions because Yuna is doing this sending. You see the aeons around Sin. Sin is disintegrating. Everyone is on the ground, like scared, shocked, but then cheering as they realize, oh my God, like the very least we're getting another calm. I would imagine if they've seen it before, seems probably bigger than the
Hmm.
last time, and it feels like maybe something really big is happening. And you have this joy that's happening underneath with this sadness of Yuna really just trying to hold on to Tidus as much as she can,
Yeah.
knowing that once she finishes this final sending, he's not going to be around.
Yeah.
Oh my God. It's just,
It's tough. And so she says here the first time that she actually says the words "I love you" to Titus. In the
mhm.
English translation, there's a really good localization story from Alexander O. Smith, who worked on the
Mhm.
localization, where the Japanese line is "arigato," which you know
Yeah.
we know it as "thank you," but there's more contexts that it could be used in. It can have a bigger meaning than just "thank you." But
Yeah.
Alexander O. Smith thought that in English it would convey the message better if they changed it to "I love you." And
Mhm.
I forget who it was that he checked with on the Square team, the writing team. But the writer was basically like, "Yeah, that sounds good to me, and it'll get people talking. So go ahead,
Mhm.
put that in there." I mean, it obviously it fits in the story for her to say "I love you" at the end here, but
Yeah.
um, just a little anecdote, many hours into our podcast to show that localization is so much more than just translating. There's so much thought that goes into how a good localization is done. It's not just like,
Hmm.
well, arigato means thank you, and then that's it. There's so much more thought. There's so much understanding of multiple cultures that goes into it. There's writing that goes into it. Like good localizers are good writers. And this Alexander O. Smith has done so many interviews talking about the Final Fantasy, I think Final Fantasy Tactics, Vagrant story localizations. They're just really interesting how it's not about translating, it's about capturing the essence of the story and bringing it
Hmm.
to a culture in a context that they will then get that essence in the best way. And this is a
Yeah.
very small example of that, but it's a really good one.
Yeah. Exactly. I think and this is me just having read about this the localization of Final Fantasy X, just sort of like looking up especially this one because it's such a big moment in the game
Mm-hmm.
and such a big widely discussed localization line. In Japan, again, this is just from me reading. I do not speak Japanese, so I don't know from direct experience, but saying I love you is also like instead of having it both be I love you, for example, apparently it's not something that's said as often in
Mm.
Japan. It has a different weight. And so even if they said, "Oh, well instead of I love you or thank you, let's have it both be I love you." That wouldn't have been appropriate either because in Japan that would have changed like you said the intent and the meaning. And so I think I think it is such a great way to show again like you said the localizer's role in making sure intent and emotion is conveyed more so than the exact words being literally translated, because that could
Yeah.
lead to all sorts of silly things.
Yep.
I also realized I think it's the first time the phrase I love you is said in any Final Fantasy.
Mm.
Um, so that was also a very big deal because they hadn't had I love you as a phrase in any of the prior
Mm.
installments.
There had been love stories for sure, but
Hmm.
that's interesting if that's the case. I mean, no moment more deserving than this one, I guess. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, that talk about localization, just this is why you can't have ChatGPT do localization for you. It just doesn't work.
Nope.
Like you need skilled professional people to do localization, or your story is going to lose all of its weight for the language it's
Hmm.
being localized for.
Yeah. Don't use ChatGPT,
Yeah, just in
everyone.
general,
Please,
but
just don't use it.
yeah, localization feels like one of those parts of game development where like greedy people would look at it and be like, well, I don't need to pay people to do
Hmm.
that. I can get an AI program to do it. And it just,
Yeah.
that's how you don't serve the people who you're translating the game for by doing that.
Yep.
They're going to get a much worse version.
Yeah. I mean, I won't name names currently, but there have been instances of that already.
Yeah.
With relatively large, relatively known titles and IPs. And we're seeing that happen where the community um, playing these games are saying these translations don't make sense.
Yeah.
So yeah, it does nobody a service, uh, I suppose, except for the people at the top who just want to say things so they can make more money.
Yep.
Um, but yeah.
Ah, this ending.
This ending. I do want to quickly shout out again, I have shared the soundtrack uh I think with every newsletter this month because it is free to download on the Internet Archive. If you don't download this soundtrack, I don't know what to tell you. It is beautiful, but if nothing else, just take a moment and listen to that final track. The orchestration in this scene is one of my favorite just tracks in games. But just as a finale, it is so moving and beautiful. And it's one of those where, especially if you've played the game and you listen to the song, you can just like see it play in front of your mind's eye. And
mhm.
I just Y'all download the soundtrack. I'll include
Yeah.
it in this week's newsletter too. It's just that good.
Hmm. You can see the end. You can see Titus hold Yuna,
Mm-hmm.
and then he like backs away and jumps off of the airship. And I forgot about this detail. This made me laugh. On the way down, as he's falling off of the airship, he high fives Jecht on the way down. Very weird,
Yeah.
extremely weird. Made me
Let's go,
laugh.
Dad.
I could use a laugh at this point in the story, but yeah, super weird. But the the goodbye, one final. This is
Yeah.
my story, I think. And
Mm-hmm.
then yeah, down he goes.
Yeah. It's great. It's such a cheesy, it's such a cheesy ending. But I agree. It's a moment where I appreciated it because again, I had been crying and I'm like, a laugh is very much appreciated at this point. As he like goes down to high five his dad, you see all the other, you see Aaron and Braska and all these other folks, that had been in this cycle that are now sort of freed
Hmm.
as spirits, fireflies, and it's a really wonderfully cheesy moment.
Yeah, for sure. And then Yuna and friends carry on. We continue,
We
as we say.
continue.
Um, they go back home and they're heroes, and we get like she's in like the stadium full of people, and she gives a really good speech at the end about how everyone has lost something because of this cycle, but now you have the ability to dream about the future again, which is not something that these people could realistically do. Like you
Hmm.
could have dreams, but in the back of your head, you know it's not going to happen. Sin's going to come. But now they can live that way. They can dream about the future. They can rebuild Spira. They can start new lives. Um, but again, that they should never forget those that were lost along the way. And it's a nice message at the end that, like, because again, one of the things that I like the most about this game is the fact that the world building is set up with such a hopeless way of life because sin is
Hmm.
always going to come and destroy. And you have all these people who, like, they could have never had dreams. I'm sure there was people who are conflicted about having children, like all of these things. Like, there is no future for you
Hmm.
or anyone you love or your home unless you're, the undead maesters, basically.
Right.
Um, and now all of that's lifted and people have the ability to dream again. And it's it's really nice, and it's bittersweet because we know that Yuna and Party are not going to be happy. Arin's gone. We've lost people too, but
Hmm.
we did it.
We did it. Oh, yeah. This is just this ending. Was really heartening to play, especially now because I feel like we're in a time where I'm wondering, like, man, how much longer can we do this for? How much
Mm,
longer can we do our cycle of we have these really bad people in office making horrible decisions that hurt a lot of folks, and it just kind of keeps happening. And I feel like we're still in the Spira sin phase, um, but it makes me hopeful for if we can figure out our pathways and we get enough people beyond just one
hmm.
and doing things that we can finally make a future for ourselves. And I don't know, it is a stretch, I would say, but at the same time, playing games like this do provide me hope for our future and make me inspired to think about the ways that um I can also essentially do what I can where I can for how I live. The double whammy of playing this and Expedition 33,
Yeah.
honestly, with Expedition 33, that tagline of for those who come after, it's like it's not about this generation, it's about the people who follow.
Hmm.
And Yuna essentially is without that tagline saying the same thing. Everything she did was for the future and what whoever followed. And I don't know. It's nice and important to play media that has these themes, especially when it can feel really hopeless currently.
Yeah. I was gonna say it's hard to be optimistic sometimes,
Yeah.
and um, I agree. Media like this can help you see that you don't have to do it all by yourself. Like there's
Hmm.
a role that everybody can play, no matter how small you think it is, as long as you're doing something forward looking and for help, helping those around you and stuff, you're doing something. And that's all that some people can do, and that's all you need to do.
Hmm. We didn't talk about one moment at the very, very end of the credits.
Yeah.
Uh, if you play through the entire credits, at the very end, you hear some water. And you see in what looks to be just the depths of a very deep, maybe ocean, we're not exactly sure, uh, a figure kind of in like the fetal position. And the figure unfolds. You see that it's Titus, and he swims up to the camera and boom, close. The Marvel
Yes.
post credit scene strikes here.
Yes.
What are your
And
thoughts?
well, having played Final Fantasy X too,
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if they had always planned on making a sequel, because um, this plays into why I think people should play Final Fantasy X too.
Mm-hmm. I think this is actually, that's the perfect segue to talk about Final Fantasy X too, because we've both mentioned it throughout, I think, most episodes, if
Hmm.
not definitely the first part of this. Um, and I think we're both on the same page that it is, I feel like if you play 10, you should play 10 too. You should at least try it
Hmm.
if you've never tried it before. But I'd love to hear your defense of 10 too, because there are haters out there.
Yeah. And I was one of them. For a while,
Mhm.
I did not want to play it because it looked like a J-pop dance party, and I didn't want to play that. Um, and it is a J-pop dance party sometimes, but the pitch for Final Fantasy X too, if anyone has just finished 10 and they're like, should I play this? I bought the remaster pack, I own it, should I play it? The pitch for it is two things. The main one being, you have now seen this specter of sin that ruled and dominated everybody's lives. It's gone now. So, how do they live now? How do they live after they're given again the right to dream again and to think about a future? That's one of the big things that Final Fantasy X-2 explores, is honestly, in a way that most RPGs don't ever do. They explore
Mhm.
life after you beat the final boss,
Yep.
life after you remove this shadow from over them. Everyone's allowed to live again. How do they live? And that's one of the big things that they explore. I think they do it really well. And then the other part of it is, you got that little teaser at the end with Titus swimming up through the water. You cried through the ending because Yuna and Titus couldn't be together the way you wanted them to. Carry that will into Final Fantasy X-2. The idea that you want, somehow you want Yuna and Titus to reunite. And I think Final Fantasy X-2, just from looking at a trailer or looking at screenshots, I promise you, you will never expect how maturely and like how intelligently they explore that desire to have Yuna and Titus reunite. I think it's really
Mhm.
good.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't really have too much to add to that. I think but let's see, the combat. You hadn't touched on the combat. I feel
That's
like the
right.
combat is incredibly fun. I think if you loved Final Fantasy X's combat, plus sphere grids that act as class systems essentially. So
Hmm.
if you're familiar with sort of the traditional Final Fantasy, you've got, thief, um, I don't know, dancer, white mage, black mage. You have all of these different classes that your characters can play. The sphere grid has changed up to be dress spheres so that you essentially can change classes within a single battle. And that makes it really, really fun. And yes, for me, the outfit changes were a big part of that as well. It is genuinely probably the closest I've gotten to like the fantasy of magical girl RPG.
Hmm.
Uh I think for me that is the ultimate selling point. And while I feel like they have some very strange character decisions and some very strange moments, overall absolutely worth playing for all of the reasons that you mentioned so concisely and well. Basically, yeah,
Yeah,
you
I
will get
did.
brother jump scares. I
Oh
will
yeah,
just a heads up, brother will be oof,
yeah.
but
He's the worst. I did an episode of Tales from the Backlog about Final Fantasy X too, and every episode,
yeah.
is no spoiler for a while. So if anyone wants like a no spoiler chat, we probably did an hour and a half before spoilers in that episode. But um, yeah, it's really smart, and it's a game that you shouldn't judge by its cover, because it's again the way that they approach the sequel to this story and everything that
Hmm.
you felt at the end of this story is really smart.
Yeah.
So highly recommended. And I didn't even like the combat that much, but I'm an outlier in that. Basically everyone loves the combat.
And I would say, yeah, if you've got the remaster, the HD, whatever, 10.2 remaster, it's like if you've got it, just try it. Just give
Yeah.
it a shot. There's no harm in that.
Hmm.
I'm excited because I have not played it in a very long time. Um, and I'm using this, I think, with a few other games that I'm hoping to finish up. I'm going to be starting this on my holiday break just to keep
Nice.
the Final Fantasy X world going.
Hmm.
So I'm excited to replay it as well.
I was going to say future Geeks and Grounds game, Final Fantasy X 2.
I mean, don't have to ask me twice.
Hmm.
Someday. Um, but yeah, I think any additional thoughts. We primarily focused on the story. I think both of us really only played like kind of main storyline. But just in case, did you do any of the side quests, the arena, Blitzball, Dark Aeons, like any of the side stuff?
Um, in my past playthroughs, I have done a good number of the celestial weapons, and I've done my first time I played it. I played a lot of Blitzball, but
Mm-hmm.
I've never done the arena. The arena is like
Yeah.
sicko. It's like complete the sphere grid with everybody, sicko stuff. Um, so no, I've never done the arena, and I can't remember the first time. I might have fought a couple of Dark Aeons, but no, not anytime recently. Like, and I believe there's more story if you do the Cloister of Trials again. Like you can go back to them
Mm-hmm.
and do them again. There is like some interesting story in there that like there's a lot of lore and stuff, but
Mm-hmm.
I'm not doing the Cloister of Trials again. I'm not fighting the Dark Aeons. So yeah.
Yeah. I think at this point, every once in a while, if I play it, I'll get the urge to do Blitzball, but this time I did not get the urge to Blitz. Celestial Weapons, I'll also go for every once in a while. Did not do that this time. And I did seek out some of the optional Aeons. I think
Oh
if
yeah, yeah.
you want some, additional lore, especially I love the Lulu lore that you get with one of the Aeons, because you learn that she was like a guardian before, and that's really cool.
Hmm.
But I don't go super out of my way. Like if I remember how to get to sort of the path to get there, I'll take it, but I'm too many games to play
Yeah.
to look up a guide and really grind
Yeah.
into that stuff.
You'll find the dungeon where you can get Yojimbo on the main
Hmm.
path. It's near the Calmlands, but
Yeah.
um, Yojimbo's really expensive, and then you have to pay him every time you want him to fight in combat. And he's like
Yep.
he's good in combat, but I don't. I guess I don't grind enough. I never have enough money for all that stuff. So
Yeah. Um, as we close out, I wanted to highlight if folks really liked Final Fantasy X and they were looking for other games to play, whether it's mechanically similar, emotionally similar. Do you have any titles that you would point to if they were like, I just finished this game with Geeks and Grounds and I want more? Where would they go?
yes. So other than Final Fantasy X too, um,
Hmm.
Expedition 33 was influenced by this game, and you can see it in some of the ways the game is built. And Expedition 33 is an awesome game that I think you should play regardless of your feelings toward Final Fantasy X. Um,
Yep.
Lost Odyssey is an interesting game that Hironobu Sakaguchi worked on after leaving Square. Um, Final Fantasy X was Sakaguchi's last Final Fantasy game with Square, I believe. And then he
Mm.
formed Mistwalker. They put out a couple of games on the Xbox 360, including Lost Odyssey, which is another really like dark storyline. It's centered around a group of immortals who have lived many lifetimes, and there's a lot going on in this story, but it is tonally similar to Final Fantasy X in a lot of ways. And you can tell like game design, a lot of it is pretty similar to 10.
Mm.
So Lost Odyssey is good. Have you played that, Jenny?
I have not. I'm actually writing it down in my journal right
It's
now because I want to check it out.
it is unfortunately only on Xbox 360, and then you can play it on a modern Xbox through backwards compatibility, but it's never
Okay.
been ported to PC or other sections. I bought an Xbox 360 a couple years ago so I could replay that game.
Wow.
It's good,
Okay.
good game. And then the final recommendation: if you love Final Fantasy X combat, there is a Lord of the Rings game on the PS2 called Lord of the Rings: The Third Age that just straight up copy and pasted this combat system.
It's amazing.
So yeah, I mean, I love Lord of the Rings. I'm curious about that game. I've heard it's fine as most side Lord of the Rings games are, but
Hmm.
the combat system is apparently just Final Fantasy X.
I mean, that's really cool.
Yeah.
I have admittedly not seen much appeal in any of the Lord of the Rings
Ooh,
games. I'm
yeah.
like
The
very
movie
much
tie-in
of,
games, those are
are
great
they
from
good?
the
Really?
PS2.
Oh,
Yeah, they're awesome.
okay, okay. Cause yeah, I love Lord of the Rings, but the games never for whatever reason didn't appeal to me, but maybe I'll dabble a little bit.
Yeah.
Um I wanted to shout out, I think we also talked about it in our first episode, but if in case people don't remember or didn't hear, Chrono Cross, honestly, similar kind of like I think environmental vibes,
Hmm.
incredible music, great sort of party, great story. Also a RPG where you fight God. It's just very epic scale, I would
Hmm.
say, similarly. I also had a couple of these are not mechanically the same, some totally completely different, but I think thematically may get you in similar places if you kind of dig a little bit, that you may enjoy if you're looking for something similar but different, if that makes sense.
Hmm.
um Shout out to One Shot, a game where you're trying to restore the sun with a adorable little cat.
Hmm.
um Majora's Mask also has that cyclical, it is this cyclical game. It's a time looping game.
Hmm.
You've got the dream elements, so there's energy in that way, but again, that's a Zelda game. So it's gonna play like a Zelda game.
Yep.
Um Horizon Zero Dawn, which I was cleaning out my game shelves and pulled that and did not even really remember it until I just saw the case. But I was thinking that could be an interesting one because even though it's AAA, action, more action focused game, and exploration, it's also set thousands of years into the future where people have a fraught relationship with technology and don't necessarily understand the past that they came from, and has an interesting protagonist who is learning about herself and sort of her duty that she is growing into.
Hmm.
So, yeah, I haven't played that one in a long time. I played it way back when it launched. So, yeah, that's might be again a bit of a stretch, but I think emotionally, thematically, some similar stuff with these titles.
Mm.
Um, to finish out, any last thoughts you wanted to share, especially replaying a game that you have already played and clearly love and have so much knowledge about? What was it like replaying it this time?
So the cool part about this one is the level of detail that we went into on the show, which so I played this probably 2 years ago for my own show, but my show is one episode per game, and there's a lot of stuff that we didn't talk about. We talked about the strongest themes and the strongest beats and stuff like that. But doing it with the beat by beat helps, give some of those other scenes, some of those more subtle moments their shine, basically. And people can tell that we've not rushed through talking about. There's stuff that we didn't talk about, but there really isn't anything where we were like, man, we just got to skip this for time. So
Mhm.
um just going through it with more of that fine-tooth comb is always really illuminating to me, especially in a game that I've already played before, to like go through, and I'm not surprised by the big moments anymore. I'm looking at little like gestures now. I'm looking at
Mm.
um the way a voice line is delivered. I already know the voice line is coming, so now I'm looking at, you know, the tone of it and stuff like that. I'm paying attention to what music is where and stuff like that. And for a game that I love, and a game that I think is like rich enough to like really support this type of deep exploration, it's been really fun to go through it like that. And to have all these conversations with you has been really great to hear your side of it too, and the things you bring to it. So yeah, it's been an awesome experience. Thank you for having me here to do all this Final Fantasy X talk.
Yeah. No, thank you. I was I remember reaching out to you and being like, "All right, but this is going to be a 2-month thing. Are you okay committing for this much time?"
Hmm.
And I really really appreciate you being willing to dive in and really just sift through this game in a way that I feel like has been so rewarding as someone who also just truly I love this game with all its flaws and all its beauty.
Hmm.
I think it's one of those where it's a joy to play it every time. And getting to hear everyone's perspectives, yours on the podcasts, reading everyone's experiences in the Discord, and getting some of the messages through the newsletter. It's helped me again see this game that I love in such a different way than I have played before. And it's just so exciting. I think it's just incredible because as players, I think we often are like, oh my God, we can only experience a game for the first time. The first time. We can only do that once. And that's true to some extent, but I think there is so much joy and excitement in playing a game a second time. And like you said, being able to get a little bit deeper and notice some of these details that you know that the devs put in and they
Hmm.
want people to pay attention to that you just can't on your first time because you're absorbing everything. So it's been so much fun to play
Hmm.
and yeah, thank you. I appreciate it so much.
Of course. It's one of the great joys of doing this, the podcasting thing that we're doing, is just giving myself an excuse to
Hmm.
like hyper fixate on Final Fantasy X for like how many hours of podcasts have we done at this point? Like, this is
Yeah.
not something that I would be able to do in my outside life. Like, some of my friends like Final Fantasy X. I don't know they want to talk to me about it for 10 hours. So
Right.
like it's really valuable to, to meet all the people, to make connections with everybody, and then to have these conversations, um and like find new meaning in these games that already meant a lot to us. It's always cool. It's one of my favorite things about doing this whole thing.
Hmm. Yay. Well, what an awesome way to wind down the year 2025. I cannot
Hmm.
believe it. Oh my gosh, another year of Geeks and Grounds. We will be beginning our next season, our next year on January 6th. But I will be posting the playthrough guide and everything ahead of time. And you don't have to worry about starting to play the game until January. So if you're worried, don't worry, just take a rest. Play whatever you want. You don't have to take notes anymore. No. Um, And I will say again, we're playing Gas Station Story. It's on Steam and I believe itch.io if you would like to play it. Again, I'll put the details in the newsletter via geeksandgrounds.com if you're not already subscribed, or you can find information in the Discord as well. Um, Dave, thank you so much again. Could you please remind us where to find all of your other podcasting work and if
Yeah.
you've got anything coming up?
Yeah. So thank you once again. And I am the host of Tales from the Backlog, where every episode is a deep dive into one game in particular, something that I've usually pulled off of my Steam library or sometimes a new release, but new release episodes take a while to get out. So it's never like, here's what just came out last week on the show. It's always a little bit older than that, sometimes much older. Um, every episode is me with a different guest, and every episode is no spoiler for a long time. So anyone can listen to any episode, and we'll warn you when spoilers are coming, similar to how we've done in these Final Fantasy episodes. Jenny's been on the show 2 times. By the time you hear this, we had an episode about Animal Well last year, and then
Yeah.
this year, Blueprints. So a couple of good conversations about
Mhm.
games with a lot to discuss, a lot of cool design in those games. Coming up on the show on the 17th of December, I have Sword of the Sea on the show,
Ooh.
which is a new release that I didn't love, but it was an interesting conversation about
Mhm.
maybe why it didn't hit the same as Journey or Abzu or some of those previous games. And then on the 24th, a game I did love, it's Astrobot. It is a 2+ hour
Yay.
absolute celebration of one of the most joyful games I've ever played. And then I've got my game of the year stuff. And kicking off January, we will be starting our new year of backlog resolutions, which my
Oh
Discord
yeah.
server members and I do every year. We make a list of those games that we promise we're going to play this year. And then we see how we do throughout the year. It's a lot of fun. So
That's
that's
awesome.
what's coming up on Tales from the Backlog, on all the podcast apps, also on YouTube if you like to watch your podcasts.
Nice. Yeah, everyone go check it out. Dave has an incredible community and does just outstanding work just covering games thoughtfully, and we all appreciate that here at Geeks and Grounds. And so definitely go follow the podcast, go watch the streams. Just yeah,
Thank
so
you.
cool. And that is it for this year. We will see you next year. Happy holidays, everybody. Rest up, play lots of games, drink lots of coffee or hot chocolate or whatever your heart desires. Stay just warm, safe, and cozy. And we will be back on January 6th with our intro to Garden, or not Garden, Gas Station Story. All right. Bye, everyone.
Bye.